Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, TV, streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. And ladies and gentlemen, the heavens have opened up, and it's good news today because Sony and Tom Holland have met to discuss a young James Bond. We're going to talk about that just a little bit. And joining us here today, of course, is Kimberly Ann Curran. Kimberly, how you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing great.
Good to have you here. And of course, right beside her, joining you guys in the live chat today is Ray Ora. Ray, how you doing?
Hey.
What are you talking? For Ray, every day is just now a countdown to what's it called?
Moonfall. It's coming. Don't delay the moonfall, baby.
And sitting across from him is the one and the only Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing today?
They better not delay that moonfall, John. I'm doing well, because then I won't be doing well if they delay it.
When's it open up again?
February 4th.
February 4th.
And thank you, Rob, for having the same love for that movie as me. I mean, come on, space and natural disasters belong together.
That's like Reese's peanut butter cups.
Exactly.
So when these guys were talking about this, they would not shut up about Moonfall? Moon Night? Moonfall?
Get it right, John.
And it's like, when's it coming out? It's like February 4th. So, you know, it might get bumped. And Ray says, the moon doesn't follow anybody's schedule, John. I'm like, all right. Anyway, guys, it's good to have you here. Here's how today's show is going to go. We break the show, as we always do, up into two parts. In the first half of the show, we talk about some predetermined topics. Then in the second half of the show, we take your live comments and questions. Now, if you'd like to get a live comment or question on the show, here's how you do it. If you're watching live, and only if you're watching live, go ahead and use the super chat feature that's there in the YouTube chat box, and we'll read it off when we get to the end of the main topics. Or if you're watching the show any other time during the day, the other 22 hours in the day, go down into the description of this video and you'll see a tip link. Click on that there or enter it in manually at www.streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. You'll be getting your question on this show or an upcoming companion video if we deem your question appropriate to be used on our show. And of course, you'll be supporting our channel at the same time. And all of us involved here at the John Campea Show, thank you guys so much for your support. And also, guys, don't forget, if you need an audio-only version of the John Campea Show, maybe you're commuting, you're on a treadmill or something, there is the John Campea Show podcast, the audio version of this show. It is available on any of your favorite podcasting apps. Just go to your favorite podcasting app of choice, search for the John Campea Show, and subscribe to it today so it is there when you need it. All right, guys. With that all down, let's do an off-the-top here first, shall we? And that off-the-top is this. You guys will remember that a number, I want to say weeks ago, but it might have been a month or two ago. I can't remember at this point. Tom Holland was talking about how he is very serious about wanting to play James Bond. Tom Holland wants to play James Bond really badly. And then Jacob Bartolone, who of course plays Ned in the Spider-Man movies with them, he was like, dude, that's all he talks about. That's all Tom Holland talks about is James Bond, James Bond, James Bond. That's it. That's all he wants to do. And he wants to be the next Bond. Well, apparently it went a little bit further than just wish fulfillment. I didn't know, who knew? If you're a star of one of the biggest movies in the world, you get an audience with the studios. Because apparently Tom Holland did have an opportunity some time ago to sit down with Sony and give his pitch for a young James Bond. This comes to us from over at Variety, who write the following. This is Tom Holland speaking. He says, I had a meeting after or during the shooting of Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man Far From Home, with Sony to pitch this idea of a young James Bond film that I'd come up with, Holland said. It was the origin story of James Bond. It didn't really make sense, and it didn't work. It was the dream of a young kid, and I don't think the Bond estate was particularly interested in it. First of all, can I just say, I love the self-awareness of him saying, it didn't make sense, and it didn't work. And the James Bond estate was pretty much just not interested in it whatsoever. Okay, couple thoughts on this. Number one, if you need to make a James Bond movie about a younger James Bond, like you want to go, I understand, like Casino Royale was kind of the origin story of James Bond. If you want to go even earlier than that, hey, Tom Holland's a decent pick. He's a good-looking English fellow. He's a super talented dude. He's clearly very passionate about the subject matter. I'd be perfectly fine for that if that's what they wanted to do. The other thing is, good for Sony, saying here's this kid who's totally in love with James Bond. He wants to pitch an idea, and he's got a name behind him. You know what? Fine, sit down, kid. We will entertain your idea. So good on Sony, number one. But good on Sony, number two, that, hey, just because you're Tom Holland and just because you're Spider-Man, if it's not an idea that works, we're not going to do it. So double kudos to Sony Studios for giving the kid an audience, and then also for turning it down if Tom Holland himself is saying it wasn't a very good idea. So I think this is great. Anyway, Rob, you are the resident major James Bond fan here. And number one, let me ask you this. What would you think of a young, well, let's break it up in a couple questions. What would you think about a younger James Bond story? If they did that, what would you think about Tom Holland playing it? And then what do you think about Sony actually giving the kid an audience?
Well, I think that a young James Bond, an early story when he was in, say, the British Navy, for instance, could be quite interesting. I would watch something like that showed where his skill sets came from, why he was eventually tapped to go into MI6. But Tom Holland doesn't exactly strike me as like the brawler that Sean Connery was.
Right.
You know, I think it's cool. In a way, it makes me like Uncharted more now, even though I haven't seen the movie. I did watch that extended clip of the plane sequence, and that sequence is really, really good. So I'm excited for that. So Tom Holland kind of got his James Bond-esque franchise. And it's good. You know, I think Sony should listen to their top talent. And hey, if an actor wants to do something, why not listen to them? So it's a win-win for everybody. And we're getting Uncharted.
Yeah, and by the way, the article kind of points to that it was this whole process and pitch that kind of led to Uncharted. And which I'm very excited about. I think Uncharted sounds great. Kim, we talked a few months ago or weeks ago now, at this point, I can't even remember, about the possibility of Tom Holland, you know, all that kind of stuff. Knowing that he actually had the Sony meeting and got to pitch the idea, what do you think about it now?
It's so funny because if you remember when we were talking about Tom Holland being Bond, we didn't know about this context yet. So we didn't know that
he'd already had a meeting.
It would be that he'd have a meeting, but also that it would be pitched from the younger version. And remember I said the only way I see Tom Holland as James Bond is if they do a story of young James Bond. That's the only way, because I'm for Tom Holland. I like him. I just don't think he has the maturity cosmetically. Like, he doesn't look like you're gonna kick my ass, you know. And Daniel Craig, man, when he looks into that camera and straightens his tie, you're like, oh God, please don't hit me.
Yeah.
You know. But it's so funny that that's how it went, because I was like, look, if it's talking about James Bond at 21, 22 years old, just getting into it, meeting M while he's still a bit of a rascal, that would totally work. So I think that's so funny that that's the direction he was going. And I'm kind of bummed, but I do understand the direction and the flavor they want to keep the franchise in. But that would be cool. That would be dope.
I will say this. He would probably lean towards, like, to me, there are two James Bond archetypes, right? There's the Sean Connery badassery. There's the Roger Moore suave. Mm-hmm. The reason Daniel Craig is my personal favorite is I kind of consider him to be the perfect amalgamation of the two. I think if Tom Holland were to be a James Bond, I think he would lean more towards the Roger Moore template of Bond. I don't see, like, kind of like the way Pierce Brosnan did. Pierce Brosnan was a little bit more lean. I think he would go in that category. Whereas the Sean Connery, I would put more him, George Lazenby, you know, things like that. But I think he would go to that side. You know what the other thing is, too? I was saying good for Sony on two fronts, giving the kid an audience and for turning it down. Good for Tom Holland. Number one, he's got a dream. He's pursuing it. But number two, he's humble enough and self-aware enough to say, yeah, I didn't give them a good idea. It wasn't very good. Because a lot of celebrities today would go, F Sony. They don't know a good idea when they see it. But Tom Holland's like, yeah, my idea didn't make sense. And they turned it down. So good on him.
But he went for it like Hamilton, not throwing away my shot.
It's just like his country. He's young, scrappy, and hungry. And he is not throwing away his shot. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, question is for you. What do you think about this? The fact that Tom Holland actually got an audience with Sony to pitch being young James Bond. Maybe you think it would be a good idea. It led to Uncharted. Whatever you guys are thinking about it, jump down to the comment section below and leave us your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move into our main topics here today, shall we? And how do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You see, you guys come up with them. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Kim, what is our first main topic today?
All right, guys, our first main topic is coming from Anash. Hey, John and gang. So, Wall Street Journal reported the other day that Warner Media and ViacomCBS are exploring possible sale of CW Network. Do you think that one of the repercussions of the coming eventual Warner Media Discovery merger? Also, what do you think will be the future of shows like Riverdale and Superman and Lois? Will they move forward as HBO May exclusives? Your thoughts.
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in. And yeah, listen, here's something interesting. CW, also known as WB, what was it called before that? It was like WB. It was WB something, WB Network or WB, I can't remember what it was. And before that, it was called UPN or something. Like,
United Paramount Network.
That's what it was. So it went through several iterations. Some people are saying the WB. That's it. It was the WB. Thank you, Todd Kaepernick. It was the WB, and then UPN, and then ultimately CW.
It had the frog.
Is that
Remember
what it
the
had?
dancing frog?
Did it? Oh, they still use that.
WB.
That's a WB
Michigan
thing,
J.
right?
Frog.
What is it?
Michigan J. Frog.
Oh,
Hello, my
that is
baby.
me.
Hello, my darling. Hello, my ragtime girl. But they did it. They spoofed that in Spaceballs. Remember when what was the main character's name? Lone Star. When Lone Star was in the diner and the alien came out. Anyway, we're getting off topic here. Point is, CW has never been profitable. It has never once been profitable. It's always kind of been that little cousin that doesn't do very well in school, but everybody kind of likes him, of the family of networks, you know, when it comes to viewership numbers and all that kind of stuff. But they've given it a good go. Anyway, listen, this comes to us from the folks over at the Hollywood Reporter, write the following. The broadcast network, CW, home to shows like Batwoman and Walker, is being shopped by its corporate owners, ViacomCBS and Warner Media. Multiple sources confirmed to the Hollywood Reporter. The Wall Street Journal, which first reported the news, says that local TV giant Nexstar is among the potential suitors. Nexstar, which owns 199 local TV stations, as well as the cable channel News Nation and The Hill, is one of the largest owners of CW stations. It isn't immediately clear whether ViacomCBS and Warner Media plan to sell the entire network or retain a minority stake. And once again, that comes from the folks over at the Hollywood Reporter. All right. The number of big things here to talk about. Number one, kind of asking if this might have anything to do with the Warner Brothers and Discovery acquisition. I can't see how it doesn't. Technically speaking, Discovery cannot be involved with anything involving Warner Brothers right now. They can't be on calls. They can't, other than working out details of the transfer of ownership. Other than that, there's a lot of rules and laws and regulations in place that forbid them from being involved in that. But you gotta assume that in the initial negotiations and discussions, Discovery may have said to them, by the way, we have no interest in CW. Spin that off, collect some revenue for it, get it out of our hair. So my guess is, while we don't have anything concrete saying definitively yes or no, I think absolutely there's probably a case here that this has something to do with the Discovery acquisition. Secondly, what happens to all these shows that are there? Theoretically speaking, nothing. Because if they sell off CW, then all contracts, licenses, and obligations involving CW stay in place. Which means, let's say for argument's sake, that the Batwoman show has a 4-year contract with CW. I don't know that it does. I'm just saying, theoretically speaking. Well, those licenses, just because Warner Brothers has a new owner, the new owner is still responsible and obligated to fulfill the responsibilities of those licenses and of those contracts. So theoretically speaking, nothing changes. But then Discovery later on, once those agreements and contracts and licenses run out, they may then want to bring all that stuff back over to their own HBO Max or whatever they're going to call it. HBO Discovery, Discover HBO, DHBO, Da Boys, Bro HBO, whatever it is they're going to call it, they're going to move it over at some point. But yeah, for at least in the immediate future, probably won't see it mix up much. Rob, this is a significant big deal. CW, as small as it is a very high profile property.
Yeah.
With a lot of shows that we've talked about a lot over the years, like Riverdale is super popular, obviously the Arrowverse and all that kind of stuff. You hear about this. Is this something that makes sense to you? And what do you see some of the repercussions?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with Viacom and CBS. Is that there's been a lot of talk in the industry that Viacom, CBS, meaning also Paramount, would be sold to someone like Apple, the same way that Amazon bought MGM.
Right.
And I think that they might want to get rid of anything that shows a drain on a spreadsheet. So if somebody wanted to acquire them, it's like, well, why is this CW over here not making any money? Are we supposed to make that? So they get rid of that or whatever else they can to make themselves more attractive to any purchaser that might come along. We shall see. But that's where I think some of it comes from, is they're streamlining, and Viacom CBS is making itself very tasty for anybody who wants to acquire.
So this isn't just about Discovery getting Warner Brothers. It's also about Viacom trying to make itself more appealing and stuff like that.
To a buyer. I mean, this is just things that I've read. I have no inside information. I would just assume that's what they want to do.
Does it make sense? Do you think maybe any of this also has to do with the fact that Paramount Plus is out there now, and maybe Paramount is more interested when it comes to their television offerings, that they may want to centralize it into Paramount Plus? Just like I think that some of that is at play with HBO.
Absolutely. I mean, because that's what everybody wants to do. You know, for now you've got direct to consumer,
right?
Disney Plus, Peacock, HBO Max, Paramount Plus. They don't want to have why divide the whole point is to get subscribers. So why have programming that is not getting you subscribers?
Right.
You know, we only want our shows on Paramount Plus.
Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about apparently an impending sale of CW? Maybe it is not long for this world. Maybe it's going to be sold off for parts. Maybe things will just keep running as normal. Whatever you guys are thinking about this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. Before we go on to main topic 2, let's take a little bit of time here to pay some bills around here and thank the sponsor of today's show, Stamps.com. Hey guys, we want to take a second and thank the sponsor of this video, Stamps.com. Now, whether you are a small business owner, have a side hustle, selling stuff online, maybe you just like to share things back and forth with your friends, good news, Stamps.com is going to help you out a lot. Because if you're anything like me, there are many times in my life that I didn't send something to a friend of mine, or I didn't want to sell something online simply because I didn't want the hassle and expense of having to ship stuff out. And for those of us here at the John Campea Show, Stamps.com is going to be huge for us in 2022 because we've been doing more giveaways like shirts, pops and other things, and we plan on doing a lot of that, and that's just wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for Stamps.com. And for people like us, Stamps.com is a godsend because it lets you print out official postage right from your computer so you can spend less time at the post office and more time running your business or sharing things with the people in your life. And Stamps.com doesn't just give you access to the US Postal Service, it also works with UPS now right from your computer. And you can get discounts that you cannot get anywhere else, like up to 40% off the United States Postal Service rates and 76% off UPS. So right now, head on over to Stamps.com and go up to that microphone up in the corner, click on that and enter the promo code Campea, that's CAMPEA. This will give you a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, free postage, and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts required at all. And now, let's get back to the video. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to main topic number 2. Kim, what is our second main topic today?
All right, this comes from Owen White. Hey, John, big fan of the show. Wondered if you heard what Steven Yeun said on Invincible Season 2. He said that they haven't even began production on it. This is disappointing to me, as I expected the second season would come out this March or sometime this year. And Invincible was one of the surprise shows of 2021 to me, along with Arcane. Thoughts?
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in. And yeah, Invincible was truly, I mean, other than Arcane, which Arcane came out of nowhere, became my number one favorite animated show in the history of animation. I just can't believe how much I love Arcane. But before that, there was Invincible, another great little animated show that came out and really surprised us, because not only was it gory and brutal and violent, there was a great story underneath there, right? There was some really good mythology. I mean, basically it's a darker Superman and Superboy. So there's a lot of, not a lot of new ground covered there, but narratively, the way they approach it, there's almost Shakespearean in some ways with story of father and son and the things that get passed down. Anyway, loved it. Caught on really well, despite the fact that I found the animation style to be kind of cheap. But besides that, I was in love with this show. Ann and I watched it like all the way through, absolutely adored it. And it had great success. And so we started looking forward to it, because I think it came out in March of 2021. I think March or April, somewhere along there. So I have just been, with no reasoning behind it, kind of assuming and thinking that come March and April, we're going to be getting Invincible Season 2. Well, apparently not. The guy who does the voice of Invincible, Steven, said the following: "We haven't started on it yet. I know we're starting at some point soon. I've talked to Robert Kirkman. He's, of course, the guy who did Walking Dead, and he's kind of the runner of the show. I've talked to Robert here and there. He's super excited about it. He thinks season 2 is going to be even better than season 1, which I have no doubt about. If you go to his source material, Invincible is an incredible comic, and just thinking about how much story hasn't been told from that run, it's going to be bonkers. I'm really excited about it." That's all great. We haven't started on it yet. Like, what? So clearly we are not getting Invincible Season 2 anytime soon. Now, granted, this is the type of animation that you could probably do. Like, this isn't a Pixar film, right? This ain't a Pixar film. This is something you could probably get rolling fairly quickly, and you could probably get this out faster than a lot of other animated stuff. But still, the fact that they haven't started yet, Steven doesn't even know exactly when they're starting. I think there's a decent chance here we may not even get this until 2023. Now, granted, it's early. They could come out Q4, but it may not even come out to 2023. And I get it. We want to say, hey, man, take your time. This isn't about taking your time. I mean, come on, guys, let's get this going. But you know what? They probably didn't know this thing was going to be as successful as it was. But I'll tell you one thing, Rob, I will say this. I am nervous about where they might go with season 2, because season 1 really takes place more Terra side. It takes more on Earth. It's a little bit more grounded. I mean, for these super beings and whatever. For those who don't know the comics, once you get a little further out, almost everything else happens intergalactically, right? And and then pretty soon you get, what's the lead singer of Queen's name again?
Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, you get Freddie Mercury, who is Invincible Dad's boss. As it turns out, Freddie Mercury shows up. It's not literally Freddie Mercury, but I swear to God, they modeled this character after Freddie Mercury. I can't remember the character's name, but he's the head of their world, right? Get into that, and then you get these intergalactic wars going on and all that kind of stuff. And I'm a little bit nervous about that, because part of the thing that I love about the story of this is that it takes place on Earth. He is trying to balance being who he is born to be and being a high school student, trying to manage this relationship that he has with this one girl, while also trying to navigate this other awkward relationship that he has with Adam Eve, and all this kind of stuff. And I like that, and kind of abandoning that, going to space. In the comics, it works, and it'll probably work in the show too, but I'm going to admit I worry about it a little bit. Do you think they're going to follow pretty closely to the comics and go that route? Do you think they may change thing up and keep it more terrestrial? What do you think they're going to do with that?
I think they'll follow the comics, because I really like that comic. I have the absolute editions of it. And they already have the story laid out. And I think they do a great job of that story. I think that story becomes really interesting. But like you said, I think the people that are fans of that show now don't know yet about this intergalactic turn that the story takes. So if you're an Invincible fan, I think the audience will go with them. But hey, while you're waiting, you can always watch Dota Dragon's Blood Season 2, which drops on the 18th of January.
You know, I was watching credits on that, and a name I recognize came up on that. I think it was a Robert Meyer Burnett's name came up on that.
Maybe so, you know.
Something to watch in the meantime.
Hey, you know, if something to tide you over for the next season of Arcane or whatever you're waiting for.
Yeah, and who knows when Arcane's going to come. Anyway, Kim, I don't think I've ever talked to you about Invincible. Did you watch Invincible? And if so, what did you think about it?
I didn't finish it. I did start it. I loved the story. I get a little queasy with a lot of gore, so that's why I wasn't able to finish it. Just like I'm almost completely finished with The Boys, but not without
Oh, I love The Boys.
not without passing out a few times. So it just takes a lot for me to come to. So that's why I haven't finished it. But for what I saw, I really liked the father-son relationship and story, and I felt like a lot of people, not just fathers and sons, but like fathers and daughters could really relate to that discovery and power struggle, and really getting
Fight
to know
to the death.
who you are, but then really getting to know who your parents are. You know, I thought that was interesting. I thought it was a good show. I didn't mind the animation.
No, I don't mind it either. I just say it's not exactly high budget,
No, it's not
super
like
big
Arcane.
production
Yeah.
value. Yeah, it's not Arcane
yeah,
or anything
yeah,
like
which
that.
Arcane, I just visually, I'm just like, it's just candy. I'm just like, ah.
I got to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Does animated violence bother you as much as more live action violence?
They're the same for me. Don't ask me why.
Okay.
Don't ask me why.
So
I
when
don't
you're
know
watching
why.
the first episode of The Boys, an A train runs right through the girlfriend. Yeah, that that's pretty. Or the
Yeah.
stuff. I still think like there's been a lot of shows like this because we referenced The Boy, but like, man, I know I keep coming back to it. That airplane scene in
God.
season 1 with
That broke my
Maeve,
heart.
and they're on the plane. They're like, we gotta leave these people. Gotta leave them.
Broke my heart.
I mean, oh my! I'm watching this. Like, this isn't just an awesome television show. This is a freaking heavy television show.
Yeah.
And I just love that about it. And that's exactly some of the same feelings I got watching Invincible. So hopefully they get on that horse here pretty soon. Anyway, guys, what do you think about that? Are you looking forward to Invincible season 2? Are you disappointed we're not going to get it sooner than we are? Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3. Kim, what is our third main topic today?
Okay, this comes from Forlick Wright. Hey, John and team. Wondering if you saw that Don't Look Up has set the all-time first-week viewing record for Netflix. I love the movie and think it's one of the smartest films I've ever seen, but I didn't think with its mixed reviews that a lot of people would check it out. What do you think about the new record?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not terribly surprised by this. Now, I was a little surprised when I saw the mixed reviews. And for the record, I saw Don't Look Up. I thought it was good. I wouldn't nominate it for Best Picture of the Year, but I thought it was good. I thought the performances were great, and the cast is absolutely insane and incredible. But apparently, a lot of people were very interested in watching it because it set the new record for Netflix for most views in 1 week. This comes to us from Deadline. Adam McKay's climate change satire, Don't Look Up, is officially a record breaker, with the title attracting the most viewing hours for a movie in a single week in Netflix history. The movie's 152.29 million hours watched globally in the week of December 27th to January 2nd is a new high watermark, the streamer has confirmed to Deadline. Figures released by Netflix show the Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence star is already the third most watched film in its first 28 days. And that's only after only a week. Is the third most watched Netflix film over a course of the first 28 days in only its first week of all time, behind only Bird Box and Red Notice. And of course, Red Notice is the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Ryan Reynolds film. All right. I'll tell you why this doesn't surprise me. Because there was a mutual friend of ours who I remember talking to a while ago, and they said something that's always stuck with me and it's proving to be true, which is one of the fundamental differences between the world of theatrical moviegoing and television and streaming is the fact that, you know, while having big stars in a movie will give a sense of credibility to a moviegoer, like if they're looking at a movie and they don't recognize anybody in it, they may not go. If they recognize the stars, they may consider going, right? But gone are the days of the 60s, 70s, 80s, when just putting this movie star in it automatically meant it was going to make big box office. Like very, very, very few performers today have even anything that resembles that kind of pull. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, maybe a little bit of Will Smith, what have you. But that's kind of not the thing anymore. Now the big movie star name just kind of gives some credibility to a movie. It's different with streaming, our friend said. Streaming, it's all about the name power. It's all about who's the superstar in it, which is why a mediocre at best movie like Red Notice can be one of the top 3 biggest viewed movies in Netflix history in the first 28 days because it's got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Ryan Reynolds. You put that movie in theater, that movie doesn't make over $100 million opening weekend. That movie doesn't cross $500 million worldwide. But you put it on streaming, big stars, and everybody goes. With that as the foundation, you get a movie with Timothée Chalamet, with Jennifer Lawrence, with Leonardo DiCaprio, with who's the BFG?
Meryl Streep, Jonah Hill.
Streep. By the way, Meryl Streep, I did love her in that. Kate Blanchett. Yeah, I mean, you got them all.
Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry,
too.
who, by the way, was really good in it. I really liked.
I'm a big fan of his. Like, I'm not a Medea fan, but like, he was great in Gone Girl.
That's where I really started to like him a lot.
He was
in Gone Girl.
awesome. I mean, yeah, he's actually a really good actor. And
Remember he was in Star Trek?
Yeah,
he was like a head of the
he was head of Starfleet
Federation.
Academy, yeah.
Yes,
that's a sore spot for you, huh?
but I mean, it's really not that big of a surprise. Plus, despite some mixed reaction, there's a lot of people who really, really like this film. Ray is one of them. Like I remember, Ray, you went home and watched that movie one day.
Yep.
And
I was planning on sleep.
Yeah, and that's very serious time for Ray. Sleep time is serious time. And then you texted me out of nowhere and like I'm loving No Way.
It's fantastic. What's wrong with it? Like, because you hear all the comments about it being overly too much of something, the way some people took it, but I never saw that from it, and I just had a good time. I think Jonah Hill, he
was very funny,
and Jennifer Lawrence, every time they would go at each other, just killed me. It was so funny.
What was his one line in the movie? He goes like, I want to say a prayer for stuff.
For all the cool stuff.
For all the cool stuff.
The suits, the cars.
So dope.
So dope. And wasn't Meryl Streep his mom?
Yes. Talk about how hot his mom is.
Some of the things he would say. I didn't pick that up until the end of the movie when he said, too bad you're my mom or something. So that whole time I had no clue. So it just blew my mind. It was crazy. I loved it.
Rob, when you look at like the results that a Don't Look Up is getting, are you surprised it's doing these kind of numbers, or is this should have been expected?
No, I mean, look, even Mark Rylance, he's in it too. I was not a fan of this movie, to be honest. I watched it. I wanted something more along the lines of Dr. Strangelove or a Network. I thought the comedy was a little too obvious, and because I love The Big Short.
The Big Short's great.
I've seen The Big Short like 50 times. I can just watch clips from The Big Short. I love this movie so much. I wanted more from it. I just thought it was obvious and kind of heavy-handed, but there were some things in it that were funny, and I like the fact it had 2 post-credit scenes.
Oh, did it? I didn't even.
Well, the one was on the planet.
Yeah, and then there's one afterwards.
Oh,
too.
I didn't know.
I didn't know there was one afterwards.
There's Jonah Hill survives.
Oh my gosh!
Now I gotta go back and watch the damn.
Wait!
I had no idea.
Did anyone catch the Chris Evans part?
Yes, the Chris
Evans. It took me a little while because he was so like stuff was on his face, but his voice is recognizable, which brings me to Lightyear. He's going to be that voice for a long time.
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
There was a second post-credit.
There's a second post-credit sequence.
He freaking survived, you little jerk. Oh, I got to go back.
He comes out of the wreckage of the White House.
With his stuff?
With all the stuff. What, Kim, I know you watched this movie. I knew you weren't the biggest fan of it. Were you surprised, though, to see it's like the #1 Netflix film, like, ever in the first week?
I am surprised, but for different reasons, because while I do feel like on streaming that star power is like a magnetic draw, something else that we find on streaming are those sneaker uppers, those things like Lupin, where not a lot of people know the lead, but everyone's watching it. Or how many of us could name any of the actors in Squid Game aside from Squid Game before it came out?
The name is Squid Game.
But it was huge.
Guy.
Yeah, but like every now and then you find these gems on streaming, and then the word of mouth is like, did you see this? Did you see this? It's this guy and he's robbing museums. It's called Lupine. And all of a sudden it's like #1. Or there's these people, it's kind of like Battle Royale. And before we know it, it's this huge record. So I think that's something interesting about streaming is that I don't want to say nobodies because every actor is important and every team is important, but the, let's say unknowns, sometimes they become the one-hit wonders or the wonders on there. So I think the star power definitely drew it in. I mean, you're not going to have Meryl Streep and on this huge cast. However, it did make me think of that other Netflix movie that Meryl Streep was in called The Launderer. Was it The Laundry or The Launderer?
I know the one you're talking about. I never watched it.
She was in that, and that was a pretty healthy cast there. It was a pretty good cast. I'm going to have to look it up. Not many people watched it.
Well, it didn't have Leonardo DiCaprio, and it didn't have Jennifer Lawrence, and it
True.
didn't. Yeah, you know, it's
True.
like so,
True. They had the right formula of star power.
Right.
It's not just star power; it's the right formula. And I think for years, you know, aside from what was it, Marvin's Room, we've been wanting to see Leonardo and Meryl back together. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's great, but I'm also like, don't sleep on the little sneaker uppers, though.
One of the most interesting things to me though is getting back to Bird Box and Red Notice, that you are talking about these two massive films, and this movie is almost caught up to those movies in 1 week.
Yeah.
It's the third most watched in the first 28 days after 7 days. I mean, that's
But
massive.
also, break is still in, so a lot of people have the kids home. So that's another thing. A lot of people are not in school. A lot of the college kids.
Yeah, but this isn't
they're
like
on
taking the kids
mom
to
and
the
dad's
movie
couch
theaters.
going,
They can
what are
sit
we
down at
watching?
any time at night and pop on the TV
But-
and watch it, right? It's
Yeah,
not
but
like
everyone's
the theaters.
together watching it right now.
I also think this is a zeitgeist movie too.
It
the
is.
idea, I mean, in our divisive political landscape and how it's about climate change and all of that, I think everyone's talking about it. I was just driving here today. They were talking about it on NPR, and I'm surprised that I think this movie is being talked about in a lot of places.
Yeah,
more so than a regular movie, but I think because of the subject matter, the star power, it's kind of a perfect storm.
You know, part of the movie that I could relate to is when, you know, things started trending and they did that little collage of like all the tweets on whatever.
Oh yeah.
Since I'm not on social media, that's exactly what I see when we do like a topic about like something trending.
Right.
Like if we mention, that's exactly what I see in my head that happens. That's the obnoxious, you know, point of view I have right now of when someone says, "Oh, it's trending." That's what fills my head. That's exactly what fills my head.
I think one of my favorite parts of the movie though was the Ariana Grande song near the end, the "Don't Look Up" song, or the "Just Look Up" song. The lyrics of I'm just listening to this, I'm thinking, okay, it's the whole movie in a song.
She was great in the movie.
She really was good.
When she finally turns on.
Oh my God. It was so good.
So
Anyway,
great.
guys, question is for you. Whatever you thought about the movie Don't Look Up, what do you think about the fact that it has become the biggest movie ever on Netflix? Are you surprised with that? Are you not? Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 4. Kim, what is our 4th main topic today?
Okay, guys, this is coming from Lady Thor's Hammer. We've been focusing a lot on the best films of 2021 and our anticipated films for 2022. But I want to ask you guys, straight up, anticipation aside, what do you think will be the best comic book movie of 2022? With movies like The Flash, The Batman, Thor 4, Strange 2, Black Adam, and others in the lineup. Looks legit.
All right. Thanks a lot for saying that in. And
What do you think?
I will say this. Look, there has been, we've talked the other day about most anticipated films and stuff like that. And a number of them are comic book movies and a bunch of them aren't. But in asking the question, what do you think is actually going to end up being the best? And there is, while I don't really believe there is a difference between favorite and best, I think there is a difference between what you're anticipating and what you actually think will, like, look, I'm going into this season. I'm hoping either the New England Patriots or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win the Super Bowl. I don't think they are. I think you're probably looking at maybe the Packers this year, KC. I mean, like, a lot of different teams. So there's a difference between what I'm like really excited to watch, but I mean, these are going to be the teams that win the championship. So we talked about what are our most anticipated, but what do we think are actually going to be the movies that will be the best? Now, there's a couple of contenders here. We got 9 contenders for who we think is going to end up wearing the crown of the best comic book movie of 2022. And our contenders officially are, remember, we're not talking about TV series, just the movies. Our contenders are Black Adam, Flash, Doctor Strange 2, Thor 4, or Thor Love and Thunder, The Batman, Spider-Man, what's the name of it again?
Across the Spider-Verse.
Across the Spider-Verse, Part 1 is the official title. We got Morbius, we got Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and Aquaman 2. Now, I should, before anybody jumps up and down and gets angry at me, I know there is technically a 10th one known as Super Pets. That looks like a big pile of dog shit, so I have no interest in talking about Super Pets, and we are not going to put Super Pets on this. I hope it's great.
Fluffy.
I hope it surprises me the way that Arcane did. I hope it does.
You'll never be allowed to see it.
I'll never be allowed to see it. But I don't think it's even worth talking about that. I don't think it's worth talking about it at all.
Okay, fine.
How's that?
So, in talking about which ones we think are the best, or are going to end up being the best, let's work this down in a list, shall we? Let's work this down in a list. So I'm going to bring up The Classroom for a second, just so we can work it down. Just so we can work down the
Yeah,
list.
you need a theme song for the Campea.
Oh yeah,
for the Campea
it's
classroom.
time for the classroom. I don't know what it is. Anyway, so let's jump over here.
Something. or maybe that would make it seem so epic, but for no reason.
Okay. All right. Let's go with what I think will be the number 9 best one. So we'll go number 9. Number 9, as I'm looking at the list here, I cannot help it. I think it's going to be Black Panther. Black Panther. Black Panther. Let me try that again. Number 9 will be Black Panther 2. Again, same reason why I'm not anticipating a lot. Chadwick Boseman isn't there, and T'Challa isn't there. I don't know what you're doing, but hey, Ryan Coogler's directing it, so I don't think it's going to be bad. But for now, I'm going to put it down at in my number 9 spot, because I should point out I am actually looking forward to all of these movies. Some less than others, but I'm looking forward to the rest of them too. All right. What do I think will be the number 8 one? I think the number 8 best one is going to be Flash. Now, they got Andy Muschietti, and I really like Andy Muschietti as a director. I get excited when I see the concept art and all that kind of stuff. That being said, the number of years, I think this movie was first supposed to come out in 2018. The 3 or 4 sets of directors, 3 or 4 sets of writers, all the drama of, Ezra Miller saying, I know our directors want to do this movie, but I want to do this other movie instead. Like all the drama, everything behind it. I'm going to say, even though I'm looking forward to it, I'm going to think The Flash is going to be our seventh best thing of the year.
8th.
8th, yes. As we move into our thing, I think the 7th next best one is going to be, even though I'm really looking forward to it, like a lot, because it's been years we've been waiting for it, but is Black Adam. So I'm going to say I think that's probably going to end up being our 7th best one. As we get into 6, I'm going to say Morbius. And I am very excited about Morbius. The trailers I thought have been fantastic. But I'm going to put it a little bit lower because even though I love Venom and Venom 2, I want to see them stepping up the game a bit. So we'll see. So, hey, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be good, but I got it down at number 6. And number 5, I'm going to say Aquaman 2. I had so much fun with the first Aquaman. I am a big Jason Momoa guy. Not as big as I am of a Henry Cavill guy, but I am a big Jason Momoa guy. I love him as Aquaman. So I'm going to put that in the number 5 spot. In the number 4 spot, I'm going to say Doctor Strange 2. I thought the trailer looked great. I love Benedict in the role. I love that we're going to have Wanda in there. I think she's going to end up being the villain of the film in one way, shape, or another. We got Mordo with Chiwetel Ejiofor back. It's going to be awesome. So I've got that in there at number 3. Okay, what have I not gotten to yet? There's that one, and there we go, that one. I think number 3 is going to be Thor 4. Listen, it's Thor Ragnarok with the returning director, the returning stars, and we're adding in Natalie
Pierce
Portman.
Brosnan and
Pierce
Portman.
Brosnan in there as well. Pierce Brosnan's
Bale.
Black Adam. Pierce Brosnan's Black Adam.
I'm sorry.
You're
I'm
talking Christian
mixing it
Bale.
up. You're right.
Christian Bale's in there. I mean, there's no reason not to believe this isn't going to be awesome. So I've got that up there at number 3. And number 2, The Batman. But John, by far it's your most anticipated. It is. It is. By far it is my most anticipated film of the year. No questions asked. That being said, it's an unknown quantity right now. It's an unknown item. We have not had this iteration before. We don't know what we're getting. I know the trailers look fantastic. That's why it's my number 1 most anticipated film of the year. But we just don't know yet. We just don't know. And so while it is my number 1 most anticipated, I'm going to say I think it's going to end up being the second best comic book movie of the year, which only leaves this. Spider-Man, Spider-Verse. Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. This, we know what we're getting. The last Spider-Man Spider-Verse movie, I believe, is the greatest Spider-Man movie of all time. I say this all the time, but it came out the same year as Black Panther 1 and Infinity War, and this was the best comic book movie of the year, I thought, personally. This is a movie, you remember this, Rob. I shit-talked that movie so bad for a whole year. I'm like, the animation looks stupid. Nobody cares about Miles Morales. Why are you doing an animated thing when you still got live action Spider-Man out there? This is going to fail. That was me for a year. Then I walked out of that. The first time I saw it, I'm like, well, damn. Like, that was awesome. Couldn't believe how good it is. So I'm going to say my number. So once again here, just quickly, I think this is the way they're going to rank out. This is prediction, and I hope they're all 10 out of 10s. But for now, I'm going to say Black Panther 2, then number 8, Flash, number 7, Black Adam, number 6, Morbius, number 5, Aquaman 2, number 4, Doctor Strange 2. I think the third best comic book movie of the year is going to be Thor 2. I think the second best is going to be The Batman. And then I think the number 1 best film of the year is going to be Spider-Verse, even though my most anticipated is The Batman. Rob, you took a look at that just off the top of your head. I'm not going to ask you to list it all out. But what do you think is going to end up being like the best of the year?
Okay, I have to preface this by saying something. You know how there's been all this talk, Martin Scorsese talking about, well, these comic book movies aren't really cinema.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true.
Neither do I.
But I understand what he means. And to me, the comic book movies are escapist entertainment. You know, they are. But when a comic book movie transcends its comic book origins, I would say Batman is going to be the best comic book movie of the year because it isn't just a comic book. If the character of Batman wasn't Batman, and I'm going by what we've seen,
excited for it.
it looks like a film again that has to do with what does it mean to live in an American city?
Yeah.
What does it mean to have vigilante justice? I mean, these are things that they're inherent to comic book properties, but when you see them in things like The Dark Knight and in Batman, it crosses over. Joker, for instance, based on a comic book film, but it had a far more resonance to the general audience because it was about, quote unquote, the real world. Whereas, say, Flash or Aquaman 2, The Lost Kingdom, I loved Aquaman, but there's not a lot of examination of the human experience going on in Aquaman. You know, I mean, I love it. You
didn't think the drumming octopus was an was an allegory of the human experience? You didn't think
you know what I mean? You know, it's just, and so to that extent, from what we've seen, I've got to say Batman's going to be the best.
Yeah, oh man, I'm so excited.
But then in terms of what a comic book movie is, I think Across the Spider-Verse is going to be the best, like you said. The best comic book movie.
Right. Kim, let me ask you. We got 9 films up here. And no, you don't get to throw in Super Pets. I don't care how much your nephews are looking forward to it. So what do you think is going to be at the very top of those ones that are coming out?
As soon as I get done crying about Super Pets, I really feel like the number 1 will be, throw that picture up real quick.
Sure thing.
Because I'm so torn. I think it's going to be Thor.
It's hard to disagree.
Thor, because I don't get me wrong, Into the Spider-Verse is awesome, but I feel like and this isn't a negative thing, but it's almost like the Matrix. When you come out with something that has never been seen before, we've never experienced it that way before, we've never thought to look at it that way before. The first time, amazing, award-winning, let's go. The second time, there's a bit of a factor of, okay, I saw this. What else you got? You know? So I feel like with Thor, Taika Waititi, he's just so freaking funny. I didn't just laugh in Ragnarok. When he piss off Ghost, I was
One
like,
of the greatest
what
lines in
the
comic
hell?
book movie history. Seriously, honestly, one of the greatest single lines in comic book movie history. I just died when he did that. That was hilarious.
It's that kind of laughter that's like, what? Taika Waititi does that. How much do we love Thor? And then seeing Jane level up, I feel like this is Jane Goes Upgrade. Like, I cannot wait to see what happens with her. And Christian Bale, man.
Yeah.
We're making a little too little of this. I think because add humor to Christian Bale, because there's no way that Taika Waititi is not going to give him some really hilarious lines delivered with a straight face.
And Russell Crowe's in it too.
Oh, he is. That's
Oh,
right.
I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
Russell Crowe is in it. I mean,
let's go.
probably a small role,
yeah,
but
small,
still.
but and the Guardians of the Galaxy must be in it too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
they gotta give him a
again.
bit of
I
a
think
send-off.
small roles, but they're going to be in there too.
I mean, it's
got to be.
bonkers.
By the way, there's one thing we're
I
all
think it's gonna be
forgetting
number
about
one.
when it comes to Thor as well, which is like when remember just talking about one movie's an unknown commodity in the Batman. We don't know what we're going to get there. We know guys. Consider this. Not only do we know what we're getting with Thor because Taika just did Thor Ragnarok, which I it's definitely a top 10 greatest comic book film of all time to me. But after he did that, he did truly one of the most special movies we've had in years in Jojo Rabbit.
That
So-
film, man.
Now, so we saw him go from Thor Ragnarok, Jojo Rabbit, which won him an Academy Award, by the way. And now he's taken that. He has, I love your terminology, he's leveling up. And now he's bringing all that back into Thor. And that's why I've got it my number 3, but I could
It's
easily
my-
see it ended up being the best
Yeah.
one of the
It's
year,
my
too.
number one, man. It's my number one. Yeah.
All right, Ray,
Yeah.
got to ask you. Ray, you're looking at this list. This is
And no, they are not all 90 minutes, so you're going to have
Yeah,
to
some of them,
take a nap
some of them are a
beforehand.
little over 90 minutes. You might have to
invest.
push your way through.
You
What do
know-
think's gonna be the best one?
When I saw this topic, I was like, you know me, John. I'm just the guy that doesn't like to predict things or like just give it to me and then I'll give you my judgment. But if I had to choose, the only way I could really be confident in is the person I trust the most is Taika Waititi.
Yeah, well, that's good reasoning.
Yeah, so like out of all those movies, that's the director I trust the most. So I'm gonna say Thor as well. I'm gonna agree with Kim. It's gonna be Thor, but I will go on the limb just because of you.
Okay.
That Super Pets will be. Oh man, do I really want to say this?
Is it worth it?
It's going to come back and haunt you, but I think
Yeah.
But I will because everyone knows why I'm saying this. My love for Thor. Super Pets will be just as good as Across the Spider-Verse.
Wow.
Animated. Mark it
Bold
here.
words.
Don't mark it here. Actually, don't mark it. Delete this video afterwards because I will be wrong.
Yeah, because nothing you ever say on the internet comes back to bite you in the ass.
Oh no, somebody's
Like ever.
already taken the video down and memed it and put it on
That's
Twitter.
right. Like it's already all saying Ryan. Like right now, Warner Brothers is making their new Super Pets poster, and it's just going to say will
Ray
be as good
approved.
as Across the Spider-Verse dash the John Campea Show. That's
Oh,
exactly what
yeah,
they're
yeah.
going to do.
Yeah, there you
They're going
go.
to put that up there.
Will
So
be the surprise hit of the year.
surprise hit of the year. Anyway, guys, question is for you. You've got these options. You've got Black Adam, Flash, you got Doctor Strange 2, you got Thor, you got the Batman, you got Across the Spider-Verse, Morbius, Black Panther 2, and Aquaman 2. What ones do you think are going to actually put your anticipation level aside? Which one do you actually think is going to end up being the best? Want to know what you guys think? Jump into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. Before we move on and taking your live questions and comments you guys have been firing in, I want to circle back around for a second to, Boba Fett is out right now. Episode 2 just dropped yesterday, like technically speaking, 12:01 a.m. last night. We talked about it a little bit on this show here. I certainly thought it was a step in the right direction. Well, I used to do probably the greatest Star Wars show ever in the history of the internet. I used to do this little show called Jedi Council that I created. And one of the hosts of that show is a friend of mine, Christian Harloff. And he and I decided to jump on and talk a little bit, but I wanted to pick his brain about what he thought about where we're at for Boba Fett right now. So let's take a couple of minutes here and check out the conversation that me and Christian Harloff had about where Boba Fett is right now. All right, Christian, we've been waiting ever since the end of Mandalorian season 2, obviously with the big post-credit scene introducing us to the book of Boba Fett. We've been waiting now. We're 2 episodes in now.
Right.
I was not a fan of the first episode. I quite liked the second, but where are we at right now? As far as where were your expectations, where you thought we'd be right now? What's your assessment of Book of Boba Fett right now and where you think we're at?
I think that's why I'm enjoying it as much as I am, because I had no expectations. I think you and I used to talk about it on the old Jedi Council show, is the fact that when Josh Trank was supposed to do a Boba Fett movie and everyone was talking about the movie and Simon Kinberg was on to do the Tales of the Bounty Hunter, I was like, who cares? I always thought Boba Fett was cool, but I didn't care. But the way that he was set up in Mandalorian, and when he came back in Mandalorian, and the mystery around him, and where's he been, how did he get out, then I started to care. And the way that they set it up at the very end when he comes in and they whack Bib Fortuna,
yeah.
Then I was like, okay, now I'm really interested. And then they start putting out the trailers to this gangster story with the title of Book of Boba Fett. I always thought of, we're going to see different chapters and interviews that Tamora Morrison gave about how we're going to see different parts of his life and what happened. Then I started to get really intrigued. That's why I liked the first episode so much, because I thought it set up the world and the rules. And as you see this one, I do think that they would have benefited more. And I'm cool with either way, but I think they would have benefited had they released this first one and the second one together, because it plays as a full hour and 25-minute like movie.
Oh, I totally agree. 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah. I think that what they took a risk on, and it seems like it paid off, like people like yourself who weren't on board with that first episode, they said, all right, well, they'll wait, we'll get them, we got to keep, it's a risk because you got to make sure that they stick around for that second one. And people are, and what I've seen is that the majority of people who didn't like the first one, a lot of them, there are some who still say, I'm just not vibing the show, but it seems that a lot of people that didn't like the first would definitely thought the second was a step up. I like both. The Easter eggs, I'm going to be honest, I didn't catch all of them, but and then I started to see and started to talk to some more people about them. So many Easter eggs and so much. You and I used to talk about this forever, if they were ever going to put canon stuff in there, because I started to give up on it, honestly, because I thought we were never going to get rewarded. But the comic books, the Wookiee from this one is from the comic
Dr.
books.
Afra, the Dr. Afra Wookiee. Yep.
Yeah, and then you had Luke's friends from the deleted scene in episode 4 where was that couple. Yep. In the cantina, so like stuff like that, and then the Syndicate, and all this stuff that they're playing in was so. This is the benefit of having Filoni and Favreau, who now Filoni is be able to pull all this stuff that he's done with his career in Star Wars, plus having access to everything. They're paying attention to all this stuff and rewarding the fans in general, but not bombarding you over the head to get you lost if you didn't see it.
Let me wrap up with you with this. We are now 2 episodes in, 5 left to go. The game of comparisons is always a dodgy one to play, but if we can get you to go back to when that first episode of the first season of Mandalorian, first 2 episodes came out, and we were all just kind of buzzing about it. How would you compare right now your experience with Boba Fett, which is clearly a very different kind of show? Yeah. They're going for a very different vibe. But how would you compare the experience you've had with like the first 2 episodes of Mandalorian versus the first 2 episodes, and where you think these episodes and the different type of stories going to tell us in Book of Boba Fett?
It's tough because Mandalorian, when it came out, I was one of the few people and I used to catch crap for it all the time, where episode 9 was coming out also. And I said, I was way more excited for Mandalorian than I was episode 9. I said, if you, and I've been singing to the praises still that I think television is the future of Star Wars and should continue to be the future of Star Wars, because it just, the galaxy's too big to try to crunch into 2-hour movies in my opinion. So my hype for that show was pretty monumental, because I think that if had that show not worked on the first episode, then you don't get a Boba Fett show at all, right? Like it needed to work. It needed to set again. So I think that for me, the first few episodes of Mandalorian, I don't know, maybe Obi-Wan can surpass that, but I don't know. because I wanted to see Star Wars television, live action Star Wars television for so long, and I felt like a kid again watching the original trilogy. It was that same. I think it spoke to our generation of the way that because that's where Favreau came from, of doing it that way. So I was very excited for this because there's a different experience for me with Boba Fett, because Boba Fett is the continuation of the success of Star Wars television. So it's a different type of satisfaction for me when the episode, because I unlike you, I really enjoyed the first episode a lot, and when I saw it, I was just like, okay, they've got a grasp on this thing. And then after watching season 2, going, oh man, now they're playing into all these things. It goes so against that silly thing that I've heard that goes on in Lucasfilm sometimes about how the inside baseball doesn't work. It clearly does. And it clearly does, and it doesn't lose people when you have a Wookiee from the comics in there, when you have this the Spice Runners that are mentioned in the Clone Wars and all these other things, when you have a scene from a deleted scene, you throw it, like, that's fun stuff for the fans.
Well, Christian, we still got 5 episodes to go. We're looking forward to seeing all those. Thanks a lot for taking the time to be here right now. But in the meantime, for people who want to follow more of you and your insights and all stuff, where can people follow you online right now?
Well, thank you. Yeah, I just started my own YouTube channel around 4 months ago, and we just hit 32,000 subscribers. I'm really excited about it. Would love for you guys to join me over there. Just type my name in, Christian Harloff, on YouTube. I do reviews, reactions, long form shows. My show, The Big Thing, is a show. Excuse me, a show I do. What just happened, John?
Force choke.
Yeah,
Force
it's like,
choke.
seriously, don't talk about the big thing. And then Sith Council is the other show that I do. So please head on over there and check it out. Thanks for having me on the show.
All right, and thanks to Christian Harloff for his time and giving us his thoughts on Boba Fett. Make sure you guys go and check him out as well, of course. And for that, now, let's move on and start taking your guys' live questions. Kim, what are people been sending in here today?
Alrighty, this comes from Don Miller. Fennec, what do you want to do with the gladiator? Boba, take him to the forest moon of Endor. Leave him in the dead of night. He won't last long.
With the horror of the Ewoks. I mean, again, for those of you guys who missed it, I did another kind of a redo of the Ewoks talk that I did a few years ago. It's up there on the channel now. You should go check it out. Do not underestimate the Ewoks, my friends. All right, what's next?
Unbeatable says, Holland as young James Bond. I can just picture him now asking the bartender for a high C ecto cooler or a Capri Sun with a silly straw or something.
And then pulling out his ID. See, Bond, James Bond, see, 21, right there. All right, what's next?
A. Marcellus says, Star Wars Battlefront 2 mission where you are playing as an Imperial trying to survive Ewoks hunting you in the middle of the night. Nuff said.
It's funny because I didn't know about that level. I think it's called The Hunt. So I put up this video yesterday about truly the horror that is the Ewoks. Actually, let me bring this up too, just for a second, because this is kind of a little bit that was a part of my Ewok discussion. But I wanted to remind everybody about this. That just a reminder that the dress that Leia is wearing in the Ewok village was in all likelihood taken from the mother of a family of 5 who Wicket and his friends murdered, burned alive over an open fire, and then ate the week before. Let that thought be with you for the rest of the evening. That Leia was wearing the dress of a murdered and eaten woman. Aww. Just want you to think about that, because the Ewoks didn't make that thing. All right. Sorry to keep that image in your head. Okay, what's next?
Cutter Hale says, as of writing this, 355 still has no reviews. I'm going to see it tomorrow, but just in case it's bad, I'm going to see No Way Home a 4th time, just in case I need to wash the bad taste of 355 out of my mouth.
Okay, like Rob and I always talk about, it's not a good, so let's see, it's 355 Rotten Tomatoes. It's never a good sign when the studios hold the reviews to something really late. As of right now, one day before the movie comes out, reviews are now up. There are, let's see if we got it here, and it is holding actually, you know what? I take it back. It's actually pretty impressive. 12%. It's holding.
Is there any review? Is that reviewers or is that viewers?
17. It's critics. Yeah. So the movie hasn't opened yet.
What does one of the critics say?
Let me see here. Let me go down here. What do they think about it? Here we go. From the Times UK is saying 5 thrillingly charismatic performers, a giddy central premise, and a single memorable one-liner can't save this hodgepodge production from its ruinous inadequacies. Ruinous inadequacies is
Wow.
not words you want on your movie poster.
Simon Kinberg, what a career he's had
And
directing movies.
Wow.
come on, man. It's his second film. This one should have been better.
With this cast,
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
with this, how do you screw that up?
Well, you got to have a good script. Doesn't matter how good your cast is.
But he's the writer.
I know.
It's going to be
I
as
know,
good as
there's
the
no-
show Invasion.
Who knows?
The
Listen,
slowest alien invasion
right
I've ever
now,
seen in my life.
there's only 17 reviews. Maybe the next 200 will all be positive.
It's true.
That's probably not going to happen, of course. But yeah, we'll see. Not a
Ruinous
good-
inadequacies.
ruinous inadequacies.
That's what my first girlfriend said about me.
Is that the review she left on your Tinder profile? Ruinous inadequacies. Not a phrase you want attached. All right. What's next?
Brandon Blake says, finally finished Cobra Kai. By all rights, this show should be awful, but it's not. It's great because of the nuance and depth they give the characters.
I'm glad you think so, Brandon. I'm very happy you think so. I'm very happy everybody else in this room thinks so. It's just not for me. But my wife is loving it. She binged the entire new season that was out there, and she absolutely loves it. All right, what's next?
Hardick Dave says, hey, John and Dee, on behalf of all Indians, I would like to recommend you and team to watch Three Idiots. It's a blend of everything you love in a movie. It's a cult in here.
I've never heard of it. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, it's Kimberly and the three of us.
Okay. There you go.
Look,
Well,
I just ran into the wall, so I'll take it.
she really did.
On the
She really did.
bathroom break.
She ran to the bathroom break and she ran into the wall.
I said, ah.
So what you're saying is this is a movie I watch every day. Interesting. All right, what's next?
Oh, God. John Redcorn says, box office predictions for 355 and Scream. Or not.
Scream's next week, right? Or is it this week?
I think it's next week.
Next week. All right. I'm going to go. I think Scream will make more than 355. I'm going to say 355, 15 million.
Wow.
More than the
15.
Matrix.
I'm going to be a little optimistic. I'm going to be
Judging by ruinous inadequacies, I think
Ruinous
it's going to make
inadequacies.
335,000.
Oh, here goes sub 1 million.
Wow.
And that way, the variety headlines will be, or Hollywood Reporter can be hilarious.
Yeah. And look, when I say 15, I'm being very generous. I'm being very, very generous. Maybe people are, as far as Scream goes, 21. I'll go 21. What do you think about Scream?
Pretty good. Yeah, that's good. I
You
can
think
see
21?
that. Somewhere in the 20s.
All right. Okay, what's next?
Arun Babaraj says, agree with you on the Golden Globes. For Oscars as well, studios hire publicists and spend money to create Oscar buzz. Directors have said Oscars being influenced by more marketing than by quality.
Yeah, that's usually the directors who lose. And look, everybody makes excuses, right? Everybody makes excuses. And it's usually the losers who make up the excuses. Oh, I didn't win or I didn't get nominated because my studio didn't have enough marketing budget. Or maybe you lost because you weren't the best. But yeah, I don't pay much attention to the losers. Anyway, what's next?
Guillaume LaBelle says, best of 2021. 5, In the Heights. 4, Suicide Squad. 3, The Green Knight. 2, Zack Snyder's Justice League. 1, Dune. Honorable mention to Spider-Man No Way Home.
There again, I love going back and looking at this past year in films because there were really so many great
year.
films this year. All right, what's next?
Sam Fisher says, if Sony greenlights ASM 3,
Amazing Spider-Man 3.
Thank you, Amazing Spider-Man 3, and part of the plot included MJ as a love interest, maybe Andrew is ready for love again after No Way Home. Would they recast Shailene Woodley as MJ, and should they?
Well, I mean, that's one of those tricky questions, Sam. That's an if built upon another if built upon another if. If they want to do another Amazing Spider-Man, and if they get Andrew Garfield, then should they get? So I mean, so that becomes a little bit. What's the Christopher Nolan film?
Inception.
See, there's a little bit Inception going on in here. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this: if they did, which I don't think they will, I hope they do. I've wanted Amazing Spider-Man 3 forever, so I don't think they're going to do Amazing Spider-Man 3. But if they did, I think they would go back and get Shailene Woodley again. I mean, this whole thing seems to be about trying to connect all that kind of stuff. And for those of you who don't know, Shailene Woodley was cast and performed in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 as Mary Jane Watson, but they ultimately decided the film was getting a little bit too crowded and they cut all of her scenes out. But she was their selected Mary Jane. So I think they would, if all that happened, if, then I think they go back to Shailene Woodley. All right, what's next?
Homemade Humor says, an out of box one for you. Why are people who talk logical things are shunned off most of the times? Because whenever I talk something meaningful or logical, it happens.
Don't know what you're talking about, Homemade. I need a little bit of context for you to. And by the way, everybody thinks, just so you know, Homemade, everybody thinks that what they are talking logical and meaningful. Everybody thinks they are. And the guy on the corner screaming about the pigeon that stole his wallet, he thinks he is logical and meaningful. They all do. I listen to Robert Meyer Burnett. He thinks he's logical and meaningful. And I don't know where that came from. Every day. By the way, show off that sweater. I love that. You got your whining.
Merch. Yeah, this whining about movies. Elizabeth.
And that's Elizabeth on there too.
Yeah, I walk around with my girlfriend on my chest.
I noticed that as soon as you walked in. I love that sweater, man. All right, what's next?
Brian learns stuff. Says, dude 1. Hey, bro. Dude 2. Yeah, bro. Dude 1. Can you pass me that pamphlet? Dude 2. Brochure.
Get it? Brochure. All right, I'll give Brian the drum hit. There you go. All right, what's next?
Sam Fisher says, start reading the Afra comics after yesterday's show. I really like her.
So do I.
She seems like Han and Indiana Jones' love child, or Indian Star Wars. Which comic issue has Afra looking like Anne you mentioned yesterday, and from which run?
I mean, I don't know that Anne's got all of them, so she would be able to tell me the actual specific number. For those of you who don't know much about Dr. Afra, really cool character. And her relationship with Vader is like, honestly, one of the most interesting relationships in all of Star Wars. A very hot and cold relationship between like almost a mentor kind of thing to this person's dead. And then also Dr. Afra has a couple of my favorite Star Wars characters, her droids. C-3PO, like it's a C-3PO like droid and an R2 like droid, except they are the universe's most insane psychopath serial killers. They're death bots. That all they want to do is kill and murder, and that's all they talk about too. All the different ways I would love to remove the lungs from that thing's blah blah blah. I mean, it's amazing, but she's got kind of like a restraining bolt on them, right? So she's able to keep them tight, but that's all they want to do is murder, murder, murder. And a bounty hunter Wookiee that we saw make an appearance. This is why I get excited. That bounty hunter Wookiee makes an appearance in Boba Fett, and that's why Ann got so excited. All right, what's next?
Guillaume Labelle says, worst of 2021, Venom.
No, Venom 2 is great.
Matrix 4.
No, Matrix 4 is great.
Oh my God. F9, Coming to America, and Snake Eyes.
Yeah, I remember still. I don't remember if we talked about it. I was personally very disappointed Coming to America too. Did you?
I was crushing.
Yeah,
a crushing disappointment because I love Coming to America.
It had its moments.
Yeah, no, but it didn't hold together.
Yeah,
it just didn't hold together. But and you know, there was something. The original Coming to America had a grit to it, even though it was a comedy. Where this new Coming to America was too colorful. It looked like a cartoon half the time, and I'm like, where there's no, I wanted to believe, you know, there was no verisimilitude for me, John.
No verisimilitude there.
The original Coming to America was full of verisimilitude, but not this one.
All right, what's next?
Scotty H says, fun fact, in the Multiverse of Madness trailer where you see the Marvel name intro surprise, they sneaked in the X-Men Marvel movie intro as well. What? Let's see, I'm trying to find the second part. Oh, so based off of what do you think about Professor X and the Illuminati showing up for this movie, X-Men Revealed? Did you notice that?
No, I never did notice that. I mean, if that's true, that's interesting. I've seen the movie like a dozen times. I've never noticed. So it might be there. No, I don't think Kevin Feige. Well, first of all, you got to remember this. I don't think we had this discussion, Rob. You and I had this discussion a long time ago about when they do start bringing in X-Men stuff. Do we think they'll be soft introduced like Black Panther was in Captain America Civil War, where they introduced Black Panther in another movie? Or did they get a hard introduction like Ant-Man in his own standalone movie? And I still kind of think he's going to go the route of, we're first going to see X-Men in an X-Men film. I totally believe it's possible they do it. Like, hey, listen, I'm not going to fall in my chair in surprise if we see an X-Men cameo in Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness. I think Kevin Feige said it's going to be 5 years. Well, we are getting very close to that 5 years.
It's just about here
So
now.
it literally, every movie that comes out now, for the last 5 years, every movie that comes out, everybody's swear, this is the one where X-Men are coming. It's like, no, it's not. Kevin Feige said 5 years. But we are actually now right up to that 5 year. So it really could be any time now. Rob, at this point, do you think we're going to see X-Men introduced in another film, or do you think we're going to get them introduced in their own thing right off the bat?
No, I think we're going to see an X-Men of some kind in Multiverse of Madness. It won't be from our...
So you think not only soon, you think in Multiverse of Madness?
I think absolutely. They're going to... Because I think, especially after Spider-Man No Way Home, I think all bets are off. I think, who knows who we're going to see in Multiverse of Madness, but it's going to be madness.
It's going to be
I mean, they're going to...
madness.
Because they're literally... I wouldn't be surprised if the entire X-Men team from Fox's X-Men show up in a scene.
It is called Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, I mean, I think it, and what they're going to do is, I still believe that the X-Men are going to be introduced in the MCU as always having been there. They're not coming over from a different universe.
Right.
They're going to be in the MCU.
You don't think this could be a result of something Wanda does?
No.
Like as opposed, really, because you think about it, they could do this whole weird thing. We talked about this in the show a few weeks ago, where what is Wanda's most famous line ever in comic books?
No more mutants.
What if they do a play on that, but it's kind of like the other way around?
Oh, I mean, that the thing is, I think that the X-Men have to be their own thing. If they were just willed
I
into
agree.
existence, it denigrates, I think, them as characters. You know, because I want to see Aurora Monroe. I think they should do something like they introduce Storm in Wakanda Forever, that she lives in Wakanda, you know, and that you would just meet Aurora Monroe in Wakanda and Storm is there, you know, and you maybe her backstory. That's how I would introduce a character like that.
All right, what's next?
Dad Joke says, wow, I've never seen a more intimidating look from a character in my life. Don't know who he was, but that Wookiee was scary AF. Those eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't think they did the best job with that costume.
You don't?
I think he looks far more menacing in the comics. Like far more. There's something about the face that looked very 1970s Lucasfilm prosthetic mask. It didn't look nearly as organic. Still love seeing the characters, and he is a badass. I hope they actually say this is the character from the comics.
What's
We'll
his
find out.
name?
Trying to remember. I think it starts with a B. Do guys in the live chat, do you guys
Bro.
remember his name? It's not Dr. Afra. That's the girl. That I think it starts with a B, if I'm not mistaken.
The name of who?
The Wookiee, the Wookiee
Bounty Hunter.
I called him Mad Chewbacca.
Mad
I said,
Chewbacca.
why is it so... Oh,
That's
not
it.
him.
It's Black Kirstan or something like that. Black Kirstan, something like that. Like a
Nice,
very,
nice.
very
Okay.
Wookiee name. All right, what's next?
Anthony C says Tracksuit Mafia's 5 favorite actors: Jason Broma, Mark Ruffalo,
Bro.
Willem Dafoe, Robert De Niro, and Al Pacino.
The joke will never end.
You think it's over, but then they bring it back,
Robert
baby.
De Niro, I can't.
And then don't forget their favorite device in all of comic book movies, Professor X's Cerebro.
Oh, dude.
It's been there the whole
It's
time.
there. It was sitting right in
Bro
front of
has
us.
been there
Had
the
to reach
whole
out
time.
and take it. All right, what's next?
Wait, hold on. Let me point out. I'm
Okay.
looking at pictures of this Wookiee bounty hunter.
Yeah?
And he looks crazy.
Yeah, no, he's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my
Like
God.
in the comics, like he is feared.
So he's nicknamed Santi, BK, or Black K by Dr.
By Dr. Afra.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, what's next?
All right, Sam Fisher says, I don't think anyone mentioned John, but were you wrong about Patrick Stewart in No Way Home?
Well, no. It's always killed. That's why I'm always so insistent in saying, now, I don't think this is actually going to happen, but I think there's a possibility that this could happen. There was a possibility. But I never went out on a limb and said, guys, I'm telling you right now, Professor X is showing up in Spider-Man No Way Home. He's going to be there. I can tell you right now.
Well, theoretically, when that whole rip happens at the
He
end,
might have been one of
they
the
could have had the
silhouettes.
entire X-Men standing there for whatever reason. You never know.
They could have. I mean, because I said the same thing in WandaVision. I thought there was a chance, like everything's going crazy in what's it called? Westfield?
Yeah.
Everything's going
Westfield.
crazy in Westfield. The government doesn't know what to do. tight camera shot of the ground, and a wheelchair wheel rolls into shot. It pans back. I might be able to be of some assistance, and it's Patrick Stewart. Then I said, that's possible. Of course, they didn't do that, but I thought it was a possibility. All right, what's next?
Alan Gonzalez says, did you see that Disney is going to be using augmented reality tech without glasses?
I haven't seen anything about that, but look, I know they've been trying to come up with stuff like that. I know James Cameron is working very hard at trying to get 3D without glasses, like glassless 3D. That's when I'll become, right now I think 3D is a useless gimmick. When they do it without glasses, then you got me interested. But I haven't heard of that specifically, Alan, but I'll keep my eyes open for that. Thanks for mentioning it. All right, what's next?
Josh Molinari says, only 16 days until Ozark Season 4, Part 1. So excited.
I don't watch Ozark.
Oh, I do. I can't wait.
Ann and I sat down because we love Jason Bateman, right? So like, okay, let's watch this. And we watched the first 4 episodes, and we're like, it's not clicking for us.
It gets
and we kind of
good.
bailed on it. But everybody, without exception, everybody I know who watches it loves it. So you're really into it.
I'm into it.
I might have to give it another go. All right, what's next?
Sam Fisher says, for Rob, what is your thoughts on the toy company Gentle Giant? I love buying their statues, especially the ones they have based on Scooty Young's work.
By the way, they're more economical. I do like that.
Well, they've always been a pretty good company. I mean, Gentle Giant pioneered using like laser technology for face sculpts and things like that. So I'm a fan of theirs. I just don't collect a lot of that stuff. I don't collect statues. I really pretty much only collect high-end 6-scale figures. But they're a great company. They've always been a great company.
All right, what's next?
Joshua Gonzalez says, R.I.P. Peter Bogdanovich, thank you. The great American producer and filmmaker. The Last Picture Show and What's Up Doc were my favorite.
We were just talking about that a little bit during the break, Rob. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, he was not only a great filmmaker, but he's also a legend that loves cinema. He had a long-standing relationship with Orson Welles, and he was a great writer on film, and also a great writer-director that sadly didn't make as many movies as I thought he should have. But it's sad to think that he's gone, actually.
All right, what's next?
I was a fan.
Al Renshaw says, I wonder if the Ewoks like mayo.
On your toasted burnt flesh all day. All day. All right, what's next?
Abraham Ruiz says, finally saw No Way Home again last night in IMAX, and man, I just love that movie more and more. Who knew we'd get to see those big surprises on screen?
I mean,
Kevin Feige knew.
You know what? Here's the thing. Seen it 3 times now, and I still really, really like the film. I do. I really, really, really like this film a lot. But every time I watch it, I got to admit, the flaws stand out to me a little bit more. Each time it's like, well, wait a minute, that made no sense. And like, now hold on a second, that also made no sense. But whatever, at the end of the day, it's still one of those things where, because I felt the same way about Infinity War. Like, there are a number of things that happened in Infinity War, particularly Endgame. But I'm like, it doesn't matter. The good of it so outweighed the negative. And I really do enjoy this movie a lot. It's one of my favorites of the year. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, have you seen it multiple times? Have you had a chance to see it?
No.
You just saw it the once with me, right?
Yep. And
Okay.
and it's it has my problem with it when you're dealing with magic. You know, it's kind of undefined. I don't quite know how that all works because it's a spell and
It's magic.
And I've been having these conversations. Doing your companion videos, a lot of people had the same points to make, but they're good points. Like, do the Guardians of the Galaxy not know Peter Parker? Did the spell go off-world? Did it go throughout the whole universe?
It went across universes.
Across the universe, will Thor know who Peter Parker is or not? And I don't know the answer to that, but it's kind of undefined. I guess we'll find out.
Now, look, I'm going to say something that's a bit of a spoiler, but I mean, we're at a point now, I think most of you have seen Spider-Man No Way Home. But for those of you who have not, mute your computer here for a second. This is a key point in the movie I'm about to mention. So I'll put my hand up. Once my hand is down, then I'm not talking about the spoiler anymore. But I remember watching again, somebody mentioned this to me, and I'm like, huh. And so then I watched it again. Alfred Molina, in his initial interview where he revealed to the world that he was coming back to play Doc Ock again, he said John Watts told him he's going to be teleported from his universe his last moment that we see him in Spider-Man 2, right? He's about to drown. So he said to me, yeah, it don't matter that his chip works now. If he gets sent back to where he got brought from, he's still gonna die. and as far as Goblin goes, okay, if he takes the moment that he was destined to die, that glider's still gonna go in and puncture his kidney. He's still gonna die. And if everybody who was brought over knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man, why was Electro there? Electro never knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. How come he got brought in there? And I was like, oh yeah, that's actually a really good point. He's still gonna die. Like, Peter put everybody on the planet's life at risk when he didn't even know, even if he did help these guys, if it was even going to stop them from getting killed when they go back to their own universes anyway. So, interesting point. Interesting. All right, I'm going to put my hand down now, and let's continue with the show. What's next?
Iconic Reaction says, hey guys, so Rob, any hints on the project you're working on? Also, I think I know who that person in the mocap suit was you teased. Was it the God Butcher?
I don't want to tell people when they're wrong because that narrows it down. But for here, no, dude, it wasn't God Butcher. No, it was not. All right, what's next?
Did you answer the first question?
Oh, sorry. What was the first?
You asked me what I can't. I'm working on a couple of projects that I can't talk about. But the last project I worked on is Dota Dragon's Blood Season 2, which drops on the 18th of January.
In case you didn't know that already.
Hey.
By the way, just keep an eye in the credits. Just keep an eye on the credits. All right, what's next?
Mr. 47 says, I think Tom Holland would be perfect for a Spy Kids reboot.
Here's the reality, though. Tom Holland is approaching his mid-20s. He ain't a kid. He's got the baby face, and that's going to serve him well for a long, long time. But I mean, he's a man. He's a man. So there you go. I don't think he would work in the Spy Kids. All right, what's next?
Stubble McShave says, greetings to John, Ray, Kimberly, and the future vice president of franchise management for Star Trek. Is the application sent through LinkedIn yet?
All right, for those who don't know, like Rob came into me today, said, did you know that I am officially submitting myself as the vice president of content for Star Trek and Paramount? I'm like, yeah, and he did an entire show about it the other day. So have you sent in the resume yet? Have you sent
no,
it in?
but the resume will be sent in probably today. Because they asked for a lot of stuff.
Right.
So I'm filling it out. I don't expect to get the job.
Now, are you sending it to one of the Twitter accounts that have blocked you? I'm just curious.
No, that's only Star Trek on Paramount Plus.
Oh, okay,
they
gotcha.
pre-blocked me. Well, the first thing I do when I am vice president will be to unblock myself on that official social media feed.
That's a campaign problem.
You know, I'm telling you this. So yeah, for those of you who don't know, there is an actual job opening at Paramount for the vice president of franchise management for Star Trek. I looked at it and I'm like, they have to actually go out and LinkedIn for that job? That doesn't bode well for the future of the Star Trek franchise.
Now, to be fair, I see all the studios posting senior jobs on LinkedIn. So just to be fair, I should actually throw that one to Anne. Anne is like a huge program and project manager, like that all the companies are after. Like, sorry, Apple, but I mean,
because they wouldn't hire me. I could be her proxy.
Maybe Anne could be your puppet.
Yeah,
you're actually controlling everything from behind the scenes. All right, what's next?
Cody Hunt says, I went to see Tragedy of Macbeth the other day, and it's the first movie I walked out of. Performances were great, but it was like another language to me.
Somebody wrote in to me yesterday on the companion video, and they basically said the same thing. They said, I went to see the Tragedy of Macbeth, but I don't understand the Shakespearean language. Like, I couldn't follow what was going on, and I had to walk out. And I said, dude, listen, I said, this is the way I compared it. I said, you know me, I've got a PS5, and it's a bit of a struggle for me because my brain is not wired for console controllers. My brain is wired for mouse and keyboard. And so whenever I play, even though we're loving playing It Takes Two, it's every day that Ann and I are playing, it's a little bit of a struggle for me because my brain is not wired that way. Not everybody's brain is wired to understand Shakespearean English, right? And yeah, like if your brain's not wired that way, you're just going to listen to them talking, and they might as well be speaking Klingon, Rob. They might as well be speaking Klingon, which everybody knows. You've never appreciated Shakespeare until you've read it in the original Klingon.
That's right.
As a little Christopher Plummer there, ode to you. So I get it, Rob. Like, have you ever come across people mention to you that they struggle with the actual
Yeah, I
Shakespearean
mean,
English?
I remember in elementary school we had to read Romeo and Juliet. That was the first time I read Shakespeare, and it was hard, like because I read a lot, so it was frustrating to not be able to read in my mind as fast. But I struggle with, but eventually, because then I ended up reading like Julius Caesar and Henry V, and I read more Shakespeare plays. But you have to teach yourself.
Yeah.
It's a skill. It's hard.
Yeah. So I don't blame you, Cody. I don't blame you. Like I've read a lot of Shakespeare, and actually my whole sound test, whenever everybody laughs at me when I do, but my sound test, when we're testing on my, like a lot of people just go testing 1, 2, 3. I like to actually say words. So my sound test pattern is always, friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is often interred with their bones. And so let it be with Caesar. So I do that whole thing, right? And so I really, really do like Shakespeare a lot. So when I watch it, it's second language to me now. But if you haven't done that, I get it. And your brain's not wired that way. Like my brain is not wired for controllers. It can be a struggle. So I don't blame you one bit, Cody. Not at all.
It's also about Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet is Shakespearean, but the way the actors perform it, it's easier to understand. Like it's,
right.
Do you bite your thumb at me, sir? Because you understand that that's an insult. And so it's, try watching Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet if you want to sort of get in the Shakespearean mindset, because they present it in a way it's easy to understand.
Very, very, even the way their guns even just say sword.
Right.
Like it's the make of the gun, so it fits the language. Do you guys ever have to read Taming of the Shrew?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Taming of the Shrew. You know how I got introduced to Taming of the Shrew? It was an
girlfriend?
episode. I was a little kid. And my parents let me watch the Bruce Willis show, Moonlighting. And they did an entire episode of Moonlighting as Taming of the Shrew. And I remember thinking that was awesome. And I actually picked up Taming of the Shrew, and I love it.
It's also 10 Things I Hate About You, basically.
It really. Do you have a favorite Shakespeare?
No.
I mean,
I'm
mine
not
is
heavy into Shakespeare.
very, very. I know it's stereotypical, but mine is actually Julius Caesar.
Yeah, mine is too.
That's yours as well. All right. Anyway, what's next?
John Redcorn says, would you rather see Venom 3 with Garfield appearing in it or Amazing Spider-Man 3 with Hardy appearing in it? And what's more likely to happen?
Venom 3 is more likely to happen because that's going to happen. So that is definitely more likely to happen. I've been wanting Amazing Spider-Man 3 ever since Amazing Spider-Man 2. So which one? I would want Amazing Spider-Man 3 with Tom Hardy appearing as Venom. That's the one I would want. All right, what's next?
Ron Fraser says, kudos to Tom Holland for shooting his shot. You miss every shot you don't take.
That's Wayne Gretzky by Michael Scott. That's the. Of course, Rob hasn't seen The Office yet. I'm still, one of these days, I've got to sit down with you. I got to make you sit down. We're gonna book out like 4 hours, and we're gonna sit down. We're gonna binge.
I've never seen an episode
Office.
of Seinfeld. I've never seen an episode of Friends.
Yep, Kim is agog and aghast.
I'm a movie guy.
Yeah.
He's the movie guy.
I was a TV guy up till the 80s. Then I became a movie guy
my God.
entirely.
All right, what's next?
So disappointed, guys. Wiley Todd says, if there was going to be a young James Bond, I would rather have Taron Egerton.
Nah.
Holland has not personally impressed me yet since his first role.
I'll tell you this. Listen, I love Taron in Kingsman 1, but like let's be honest. The only reason you're saying that is because you already saw him play a spy. So it's like, and quite frankly, I think Tom Holland. I like Taron Egerton. By the way, if you did not see him in Eddie the Eagle, guys, that he did with Hugh Jackman,
oh, yeah.
It's based on a true story about what happened at the Calgary Olympics.
Oh,
Fantastic, and Taron Egerton it's his best performance.
it's such a good movie.
I think he's so good in that.
So good.
Tom Holland's a better actor. I think. Like when I go back and even when I watch him in not so good movies like Cherry and things, Tom Holland's really good.
He's really good.
Really, really good. I could definitely see him as Bond before I could see Taron Egerton. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. And your opinion, sir, is no less valid than mine. All right, what's next?
Elizabeth Gerardo says, Netflix, ABC, and NBC have shut down some of their productions due to COVID. It's happening again. Almost getting deja vu from 2020.
Yeah, it's look, at this point, it's inevitable. It's happening again.
Yes.
The spike is ridiculous. I mean, we showed a graph the other day that showed the day Spider-Man No Way Home came out, December 17th. In California, it was an average of 6,500 new cases a day. That was just on December 17th.
Yikes.
Yesterday was 47,000. I mean, it's there. Now, the question becomes, have we, number one, vaccinated, number two, educated enough to have this peak last much, much shorter than it did before? I'm hoping that it will. And I'm thinking that it will. I mean, so I don't know. Yeah, it sucks. Let's hope it doesn't go full blown, but it seems like it's inevitable at this time. But hopefully this time will be much quicker. We'll see what happens. All right, what's next?
John Farag says, HBO? No, Brobio.
Oh, jeez.
Suthia says, does
H, bro.
Mr. B live in the Campea guest bedroom now?
No. Fortunately, we thought it was going to take like an hour for him to get here. It only takes like 40 minutes when the traffic's okay.
It's not bad.
So it's actually not bad. By the way, I think we missed one. I think we missed Drew Yu. I think right under.
Hi, Drew.
Okay, what did Drew say?
Drew says, was worried about the Batman flick until I read Matt Reeves was doing it. After that, 100% faith. Will be the next billion-dollar movie. Good day, all.
Certainly hope so. It's got a lot of things going for it. It's my number one most anticipated film of the year. Again, I wish it was Ben Affleck, but if it can't be Ben Affleck, Matt Reeves is a pretty damn good choice to do it as well. So let's see how it turns out. All right, what's next?
Fanimator says, how would you rank these? WandaVision, Shang-Chi, and Spider-Man No Way Home. For me, it's 1 Shang-Chi, 2 WandaVision, and 3 No Way Home.
I generally don't like to do rankings when people throw things in, but I will say yes. I would totally agree with your rankings there. Number 1, Shang-Chi. Number 2, WandaVision. Number 3, No Way Home. What about you, Rob?
That's pretty much the same for me.
Yeah. What about you, Kim?
Number 1 would be WandaVision. Number 2 would be Spider-Man No Way Home. And number 3 would be Shang-Chi.
All right. What's next?
Kiwi says, voice, that's a nice trick you have there. This podcast of yours. Rob, John, voice, Campea is on sabbatical, honey. Kim, what the hell? Ray, Chapek.
I'm not quite sure I follow the drama there, Kiwi, but thank you for the story.
I vibe with that.
All right, what's next?
Jack Graham says, hi, John and Rob. What's your favorite British movie and show? I love how they spell favorite.
I don't even know what to qualify as a British movie, so I don't know. Favorite British show?
The Holy Grail.
I mean, I do love Killing Eve. Killing Eve is awesome. That's a great one.
My favorite British show of all time is I, Claudius.
I remember we've talked about that before.
It's the godfather of television. Sean Phillips as Olivia. Derek Jacobi as Claudius. I mean, it's the greatest thing ever.
What's it called again?
I, Claudius.
I'm going to check that out.
It's so good. It's shot like on videotape, though. So when you watch it, looks like a soap opera. But in terms of British film, my God, there's so many. I mean, would Stanley Kubrick, would that qualify?
See, that's what like,
he's
I
an
don't know
American
what
director,
qualifies.
but he worked and he moved to Britain. And
I don't know what qualifies. I mean, obviously, the answer is Mr. Bean. I mean, Mr. Bean is the answer. Yes, I think everybody can agree on that. All right, what's next?
This is coming from James L.H. He says, hi, John. Cineworld's first secret screening of 2022 last night. The surprise film was a film I was wanting to see, and it was good as I hoped. Belfast.
Listen, I love that Cineworld in the UK does this thing where it's just called a secret screening. You get your ticket and you go and you don't know what movie you're going to see. And sometimes it's a movie that's early and stuff like that, which is awfully damn cool. That's a good one to walk into.
It would have been cooler if it was Moonfall.
I mean, yeah, of course, if it was Moonfall.
Yeah, Moonfall.
Or Doctor Strange.
Does someone mention Moonfall?
What's next?
Casey Mack says, you don't want them to rush shows if they do, the quality could turn out badly.
Yes, but a year is not rushing. Sorry. A year is not rushing. A year is what Breaking Bad did. A year is what Game of Thrones did. A year is what Sons of Anarchy did. A year is not rushing. So you're right. We don't want them to rush. I don't feel like, okay, Invincible season 1 ended in May. Well, by October, give us season 2. Well, I'm not saying that, but a year is not rushing. All right, what's next?
Francisco Herrera says, do you think the Batman has the potential to dethrone The Dark Knight as the best live action Batman movie?
Every movie that comes out has the potential to be the greatest movie of all time. Just it has potential to it, but will it? I mean, look, you don't know. So sure, absolutely, it has the potential to be the best Batman movie of all time. It has the potential to be the best comic book movie of all time. potential is one thing. Let's see if it actually lives up to it. That's the whole horse of a different color, to quote Wizard of Oz. All right, what's next?
Brad TV says, "Hey, John, I know you weren't a big fan of Cobra Kai, but did you give it another shot? I love the show."
No.
Hater.
I once was playing hockey. And now, granted, it was a tennis ball, but it was like winter months, so the tennis ball was frozen. And buddy shot it, got deflected, hit me in the balls. Now, I didn't enjoy that experience. But did you give it another shot? Nope, didn't give it another shot. Decided, no, I'm not going to do it. So no, I did not go back. I am not likening Cobra Kai unto being kicked in the balls. I'm just saying it wasn't for me. I don't need to go back to it. I already got the sense of it. I know a lot of people love it, and I love that. That's great. I'm not shit talking on it. But it's just not for me. And so there, yeah, I'm not going to waste my time on it. All right, what's next?
Ryan Gigargian says, "Hi, John. I know you're not a fan of anime, but Attack on Titan is truly something special. The final season is coming out. Best time to catch up."
I honestly didn't think Attack on Titan was all that good. I did watch it because I like the graphic novels. Because Anne got me into the graphic novels, and I really enjoyed it, so I went and watched it. I'm honestly not a big fan of the anime of it. What did you think of it?
I liked Attack on Titan. I haven't watched all of it. I'm trying to think. I own a Blu-ray of a feature film version of it, and not the live action, the animation. And I liked it.
By the way, there is like a live action.
I've seen that too.
Yeah,
which is pretty bonkers.
It is kind of bonkers. It really is.
A live action?
Yeah.
Film?
Yeah, Asian. It's an Asian live action one. It's and it's like, again, not the biggest Hollywood budget, but it's pretty bonkers for what they do.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Sin Vendetta says, "With natural disaster movies being my absolute favorite movie genre, I'm so hyped for Moonfall."
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Looks like a blast of a movie, good or bad. I'll be there opening night.
Let's go. See?
Yeah. Well, let's have a big party.
A Moonfall party.
I'll tell you what, though, when they showed us like 10 minutes of it at CinemaCon.
Oh, you saw 10 minutes of it?
Oh, yeah, they showed us a bunch of it at CinemaCon. This is the first I'd ever heard of it. And it was really funny because they were doing this presentation of what's the faith-based football movie right now? American
Warner.
Underdog, about Kurt Warner. And they're talking about, there is a big audience out there for faith-based demographics film, and a movie like this, it's uplifting. So the studio guys, right? It's uplifting and it's gonna be special for families and blah 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 blah. And they showed us some footage, and they had Zach Levi, thank you. Like, talk a little bit about it. They gave us all Kurt Warner autographed footballs, all that kind of stuff. It's like, faith-based, going to be great for the family. Check out American Underdog. And now, who's ready for a fucking Roland Emmerich film? It's like, well, that was perfect, the way you set that up. And then they talked about, listen, I remember watching the footage of this thinking, this looks like it could be one of the worst things ever put to cinema. But there is no way I'm not going to the movie theater to see this.
Aww.
Like it's just like, it's just got that. It's the Roland Emmerich thing, right?
Oh.
Like, you can't not watch it. You can't not watch it.
I will go see anything. I even bought Independence Day Resurgence.
Oh my God, did you?
I don't know why, but I have it.
But I did.
Were you there?
Buy one, get one at Walmart.
Were you there? Buy one, get one at Walmart. Were you there when we all went to go see Independence Day 2?
No, I wasn't with you when I thought.
Here's what happened with that. Like me, Harloff, Ellis, Schnepp, I think even oh God, what's his name? Why am I freezing on his name? At any rate, I think Ashley Mova was there, and there was like 10 of us, and the whole plan was we were at AMC Burbank 16, and the plan was we were all going to go in and watch it together, and then we're going to go right into the studio and give this big like 10-person out of the theater reaction to it, right? Because we all thought it looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we all came out of it and we're like, no, we're not talking about this. And we all just kind of quietly left the theater. We all went, it's like, yeah, we're going to watch this. It's going to be bonkers.
I have to say, I was so excited. I love Independence Day. And I went with two filmmaking friends of mine, Gary and Edmund Enton, and we're like so excited to watch it. And when it was over, I've never felt so deflated. I mean, I felt like a balloon that had a little pinhole in it, so it could never be blown up again.
Oh,
Wow.
that's a sad feeling.
I
Rob.
It was sad.
You should have put all of that in
Watching
one
the Queen
film.
alien chase a bus around the salt flats, I'm like, what am I watching?
Moonfall will get you back.
I'm
Moonfall
hoping.
will get you back.
I'm hoping.
All right,
Come on, Roland.
what's
Do me
next?
upright.
Andrew Miller sends in a $20 super
Oh,
chat.
thank you, Andrew.
Thank you. Hey, John and crew. With Tom Holland expressing his interest in leaving the Spider-Man role and where they leave the character at the end of No Way Home, do you think we could see a recast to portray an older Peter Parker?
Let's be very, very clear here. Tom Holland has no interest or desire of leaving the Spider-Man role. And even when he made that thing, if I'm still playing this when I'm 30, he's still going to be playing it when he's 30. Then I'm doing something wrong. Another reporter followed up with him a few days after that because he goes, oh, well, look, what I meant by that was, and he kind of clarified it himself. So, no, you're not going to see him go. And listen, the fact is now, this is a Spider-Man who has been in 6 MCU movies now. The time for having an older Peter Parker is gone. He's no longer the young Peter Parker, right? You get to the end of this movie, he's an adult now. And so that's the way it is. But no, he has zero interest in leaving this role, and he knows it. All right, what's next?
Curtis Spotted Bear says, I like Don't Look Up, but honestly, I think it has to be the worst edited film that I've seen in recent years. Consistently, the camera bouncing around the room while the dialogue is being shouted out, in my opinion.
I'll be honest with you. I was so just kind of riding and paying attention to like the dialogue and what was going on. I honestly didn't pay a lot of attention to the editing. So did you notice it, Rob?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I thought that there was a lot of choppy editing, and it was strange. A lot of the montage things that they went in and out of, there was a lot of really, I thought, strange choices that were actually obtrusive. I'm like, wait, what? And I love the editing in The Big Short. There was a lot of that same style, and it seemed that No Way or Don't Look Up was sloppy.
Yeah,
maybe it's because of how it was made, or maybe that was part of the energy of the whole process. But who am I to say? Who am I to tell an Academy Award nominated filmmaker that his movie was sloppy? But it was sloppy.
All right, what's next?
Ryan Tribuco sends in a $49.99 super chat.
Oh my goodness, Ryan, thank you so much for supporting us on that level, man. That's incredibly generous of you. Thank you very much, dude.
Thank you.
What is Ryan? We should totally have that music in ready to go when somebody says it like a $50 thing. That's totally what we should do.
Like at Baskin Robbins, someone too.
Just put on the breaking news thing.
I totally dropped the ball on that. Anyway, Ryan, next time. All right.
Oh my gosh.
Ryan asked.
I'm here for ViacomCBS considering Rob for that VP of franchise management position. Happy Thursday. Today was payday. So here's some support for the show and everyone.
Aw, thank you so much for that,
Thank
Ryan.
you.
That's incredibly. And honestly, again, to everybody who always amazed. And you know what? Listen, I've literally had YouTube, like our community is so supportive of the show. YouTube, like reached out to me some time ago. I think I've told you about this before, and said, can we use the John Campea YouTube channel as our case study as we are teaching YouTubers who come in and do YouTube training to show them how to properly engage with your audience and get your audience and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah. And they have literally taught the John Campea Show at a lot of their seminars and put it in their stuff. Like it's actually really
Did you
cool.
give him a copyright strike for that?
And I got a copyright strike for but again, it's, people always say to me, it's like, everybody on the internet wants just everything for free. And I'm like, listen, when you have a good community, people don't just tolerate, people enjoy supporting content that they enjoy.
100%.
People will and do support content they enjoy. I know there's a number of YouTubers that I'm constantly like supporting and stuff like that too, because I enjoy the content. I want to be one of the things that supports the creation of that content. And our community has always been incredibly great that way, supporting us and helping us do what we do. And we're always incredibly grateful. So thank you again so much for that, Ryan. That's really supportive of you, man. All right, what's next?
Suthia says Mark Rylance plays a good D-back in Don't Look Up.
The one thing, he is great in it.
Can I ask a question? No.
Yeah, no. The one thing I will say about it is, though, as he's talking, all I could think about was his character in Ready Player One.
Right.
Right? That I totally saw. I was like, this is the character from Ready Player One, just with a little bit of extra asshole sprinkled in, right? Like, I couldn't have been the only one that had thought that, but I loved him in Ready Player One. I thought he was great. All right, what's next?
Jacob Silver says Peter Bogdanovich passed away at 82.
Yeah, we were just talking about that a little bit earlier there, man. And again, you know, we're kicking off the year. Well, technically, Betty White died in 2001, but still, it feels like we're kicking off this year with losing some legends. All right, what's next?
Elizabeth Gerardo says, have you guys called the helpline from Don't Look Up? Highly recommend.
Wait a minute, is it a real?
I was gonna.
Is it a real
Should
thing?
we do it right now?
Ray, do you got your phone?
Oh man, my phone. I don't want no. Okay, let's do it. What's the number?
Okay. I know. Hop on Netflix, mute your computer, hop on Netflix, and try to scroll to where they have the hotline, and then call.
Somebody
let
must
us know
have
what
had,
happens.
there must have been an article on the internet that has the number.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, somebody must have.
Okay.
Do you got the number, Tim?
Can
We
do it, Kim?
dare you to dial 1-800-532-4500. Don't look up.
All right, so let us know what happens on that, Ray, when
Oh,
you get to
God.
it. All right, what's next?
This is coming from DeOne.
DeOne.
My favorite time to watch this show is when I'm high as hell. LOL, man. Y'all funny as hell, especially Ray.
Well, my type of audience, baby.
We found it. We found the Ray demographic.
My demographic.
I gotta tell you, it's. I don't know if I told the story on here before, but like Ann and Ray and our friend Corey went to a WWE event down at what was called the Staples Center in Los Angeles. Now it's called the Crypt.
Crypto.com.
Crypto.com arena, whatever. Everybody's going to call it the Crypt. And Ann Kate got in. She got home, and I'm like, how was the event? She goes, it was good. But Ray had his first fan encounter. I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, all you hear is this guy yelling across the thing at the stadium, Ray, I'm watch you on the show, love you on the show. It's like his big first Ray encounters. He's like, man, I didn't know what to do.
Oh yeah, by the way, I want to add to that. Whoever did go up to me at the Staples Center, I want to say thank you. That was really a sweet thing to say. Like, because I'm very conscious about, certain things.
Yeah.
And like even being on the show, like I was totally against it for the longest time. I didn't think I could add anything to it that would be enjoyable for people, but thanks for the support. So yeah.
I'm not lying. I've been trying for years. Like, no exaggeration. I've been trying for years to get Ray to feel comfortable to getting on camera and bringing his personality to the show.
But that phone number, some ladies like, do you want to talk to hot girls? And then it goes, do you want to talk to hot guys? Did I dial the right number?
That was from the
1-800.
No, Ray, that was saved in your recents thing. You got to dial.
Oh.
That was in his recents.
No, but was it 1-800?
Look, that is from the Huffington Post. So maybe they've since changed it, and it was just a promo for the movie, and now it's gone back to some bottom basement human trafficking line.
All right, let's keep going here. What's next?
Okay, this is coming from Mark Gomez. He says, best movies of all time: Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Pulp Fiction, The Godfather, Part 2, Shawshank Redemption. It was a Shawshank Redemption. Snakes on a Plane.
I'll tell you what. You guys know I used to work in visual effects, right?
Yeah.
And almost every movie we ever worked on at the visual effects company I was at was a company called Satellite Studios. We're terrible. Terrible movies. Sin City being the one exception. But we worked on Spy Kids 2. We worked on that Sylvester Stallone race car movie. I can't remember the name. It was
Driven.
Thank you. We worked on that. We worked on Snakes on a Plane. There is a scene. This is the big claim. This is the big claim to fame. There is a scene in that movie where a woman is in the bathroom, and I think she's joining the Mile High Club in the bathroom, and a snake pops out and bites her right on the nipple.
Oh my gosh.
That was us. We did the nipple bite. And actually, one of the owners of the company, her name's Shannon Wagner, a friend of mine. She's the actual one who actually did the animation on that. And so we were famous. We are the nipple bite company. And we did that one.
Legacy.
Big claim to fame there. All right, what's next?
James Argenta says, with Black chrysanthemum appearing
Yeah.
I didn't say appearing in Boba, do you expect to see any more bounty hunters from old movies or comics like Bossk, Dengar, or Cad
Bane? I hope to see more characters from Dr. Aphra. Because not only do I want to see Dr. Aphra, I want to see those droids. I mean, I have no reason to believe that they're actually going to bring them in, but man, that's what I'm really hoping to see. All right, what's next?
Andy says, during my second to last semester of electrical engineering, I took 7 classes, all engineering courses. I was dead by the end of it, but it totally paid off now that I'm working in the field. I would do anything to never go back to school. However, I make an exception for the Campea classroom.
There you go.
Oh.
Where tuition is always worth it. First of all, Andy, I'm glad you said that because listen, sometimes people ask me for like advice and whatever, and I say, "Yeah, be more advice for what?" So just general. What advice do you give? And one of my favorite pieces of advice to give is a piece of advice I got that my dad once passed on to me, and I'm sure my dad got it from somewhere else. And the basic thing of it is, always do what you need to do, so later you can do what you want to do. Mm-hmm. And I remember my dad saying that to me once. It kind of in his gruff Italian dad kind of way, but it was like, you do the things you got to do so you can do the things you want to do later. And that's one of the problems, I think, since I was a kid, with even people I knew growing up. It's like people just want to do what they want to do. People just want to do what they want to do. And again, we all want to do what we want to do. But to bring that same level of passion, commitment, and everything to the things you need to do. And Andy, like you're talking, you took 7 extra classes, you put in the work, you did this thing, you did all that, you paid the price, you did what you had to do, so later you can do what you want to do. And everybody always wants to skip that step, and I'm glad you didn't. And welcome to the class of 2025 of the Campea Classroom Academy. You'll be glad you're here. All right, what's next?
Luis Enrique de la Peña says, good morning, everyone. In my opinion, there's a difference between best and favorite movie. For example, I think The Dark Knight is the best movie, but Man of Steel is my favorite.
If you thought Dark Knight was the best movie, it would be your favorite. That's it. If you actually thought The Dark Knight was your favorite, was the best, it would be your favorite. But because you think it's better, well, then if you think it's better, that means you had a better experience with it.
But what's the criteria for best? Because is the criteria for best the enjoyment of a majority, or is it all about you?
That's what all engagement with art is.
But wait a minute, but that's like saying look, I love lots of movies that aren't good, but I love them. Like, I'll give you an example.
Then to you, they're good.
Then I'll give you an example. Star Crash, which is an Italian Star Wars ripoff.
We've talked about this movie.
I love Star Crash. I would never say to somebody that it's a good movie, but I love it.
You see, I'll take one. I'll very similar to you. I'll take Cool as Ice, starring Vanilla Ice. Right? I'll take that one.
Wow, dude. Okay.
I often refer to it as the greatest bad movie of all time. Right? But the reality is, I'm always recommending it to people to watch because it is inadvertently brilliant. It is accidentally brilliant.
I'm with you.
And I have so much fun watching it. So it's like, is it truly bad or is it accidentally good? Whatever it is, I always have a great experience watching it.
I feel the same way about Brian Bosworth.
Oh my God, I know the one you're talking about.
Starring Stone Cold with Lance Henriksen. I mean, it does not, if you want to see an awesome B movie, it does not get any better than Stone Cold.
That's great.
Oh man, I love the
great.
premise of that movie too.
It's great.
It's so good.
The infiltration.
In all the bad ways, it's so good. All right,
great.
what's next?
Tim Platt says, all this time, the Campea Classroom takes place on Isla Nebula.
Isla
Who knew?
Nublar. That's Jurassic Park island. It is like all right. What's next?
Michael Johnston says, fun fact, Marvel movies accounted for 30% of the total domestic box office for all of 2021.
True. Now again, keep in mind it is still box office wise. 2021 is still a little bit of an asterisk here. I mean, not as much as 2020 was. But it was. But yes, and it would have been even more so if they had put Black Widow strictly out in theaters than it was. But yes, especially with Spider-Man, which does Spider-Man count as a Disney one or as a Sony one?
Doesn't.
Technically,
It's a Sony.
Yeah, but still, point is made. And it did represent most of the box office this year. All right, what's next?
Zach M. Bosco says, due to leaked photos from a certain Canadian Italian, do you think, John, that you will be invited to Across the Spider-Verse premiere?
By the way, Zach tipped in $20 for that.
yes.
Thank you so much for that, man. True fact, I've never been invited to any Spider-Man premiere. I wasn't invited to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse premiere. I wasn't invited to any of the Tom Holland Spider-Man ones, so I don't expect that's going to change at this point. All right, what's next?
Luis Enrique de la Peña says, like in sports, I think the Packers are the best team, but Washington is my favorite team. But it's just my opinion. Have a bro day, everyone.
The difference between sports and art, of course, is sports has objective, verifiable, objectively measurable truth. This team scored more points than the other team. By objective measurement, they win the game. By this team has won this many Super Bowls. By objective measurement, they have been the best team. So it's a little bit different. You can't compare a sports scenario like that to art. Because I agree with you. Like my all-time favorite hockey player, well, I've got a couple of them. New York Islanders, number 22, Mike Bossy. Toronto Maple Leafs, Rick Vaive. Another Toronto Maple Leafs, Daryl Sittler.
Now, are they the best hockey players?
But they're not. The best hockey players is Wayne Gretzky.
And
Because
but your favorites.
But this isn't art. This is objectively measurable truth. Wayne Gretzky has the actual empirically measurable statistics to prove that he is the best at that.
Right.
He's the best. That's measurable. It's undeniable. You'd have to deny math in order to deny that. But so there's a difference in say sports or whatever else comes to it. But Mike Bossy was just a guy that I loved watching play because I liked the way he did certain things. Daryl Sittler, Rick Vaive, Mario Lemieux. Mario Lemieux is the only one of my favorite players who could be put into an argument against Wayne Gretzky. But at the end of the day, look, Wayne Gretzky holds the all-time record for. Think of this in terms of NBA, because I know a lot of my American friends don't understand hockey. That's fine. There has never been a player that has led the league in points, assists, and rebounds all the same year. It's never happened. That would be the ultimate basketball player, right? Wayne Gretzky holds the all-time records of goals, assists, points, power play goals, shorthanded goals, like almost every record conceivable. So that is like having a basketball player come out and again, like say if LeBron James this year led the entire league in points and the entire league in assists and the entire league in rebounds and the entire league in steals and the entire league in shot percentage. Like that's impossible. But Wayne Gretzky, that's what Wayne Gretzky did. And that's why he is the greatest professional athlete of all time. Because no one has ever dominated their sport the way Wayne Gretzky dominated their sports. And if you want to say otherwise, show me the numbers because Wayne Gretzky's numbers stack up. It's verifiable at any rate. That's just me. All right, what's next?
Rafael Castillo says, rest in peace, Peter Bogdanovich.
Yeah.
The TCM podcast, The Plot Thickens, has a multi-part series featuring him. It's a great listen, as of any of his interviews are.
I've never listened to that podcast. I know a couple of people who do listen to it. Have you ever
there's
listened to
some.
that one?
I've dipped in there. They're really good.
I've heard it's good. I should
It's
probably
good.
check that one out myself. Thanks for putting that in there, Raphael. All right, what's next?
Chris Leonardo sends in a $25 super
Oh,
chat.
thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Love the show, guys. Good to see you back, Mr. Roberts.
It is great having Robert
Hello.
in the room. And Rob pointed something out on Monday when it was his first one back that because we've just done so many shows together, but it had been over 2 years since we've done a show in the same room together. And it's just with this particular gaggle of people that we are, it's just been a lot of fun. So thank you for that, Chris. Appreciate that. All right, what's next?
We have super chats from Magnus Melling and Fanimator. Thank you so much. And then we have
guys.
$20 super chats from Kristen Tungle and Nate.
Oh, guys,
Thank
it just
you.
sent them in just to be supportive. Thank
Just
you
to be
guys so much for that.
supportive.
Appreciate that very much, guys. All right, and that
Well,
will
we-
wrap up. Oh, is there something else?
Oh, you know what? It's a copy.
It's a copy.
It's
Okay.
a copy.
So that'll wrap up that part, guys, of taking your live things. And now we're going to go over and start taking some of the ones that you guys have emailed in because we still got a little bit of time left. So let's not waste any time and get right into it. What are the questions that people have been sending in?
All right, guys. This first one comes from Trapper Keeper 2000. Part 1. John, I agree with you in that I feel as though the Marvel quality has gone down slightly. I honestly am becoming exhausted from the amount of content they are producing. I also feel like there's too much going on that spans too much space and time. to tone of the movies. Also, it seemed to change. I like the jokes, but sometimes they feel forced into places to bring levity to dark themes, which are substantial to the stories being told. Do you think they will ever return to a smaller MCU? Thoughts?
No, it's like opening the Pandora's box. Once you open it up and you start flooding in everything, it's very difficult to go back until you reboot. As far as I've often heard the criticism that the MCU forces in too much humor. I disagree. I find, and this has been one of the keys to their success, they always know how to not cross a line. Whenever things start to get a little too heavy, they don't want to weigh the audience down. So things start to get heavy, pepper in some humor. When things start to get a little too humorous, something heavy happens. And they've had a great way. I hate using the word formula, but if there is an MCU formula, even though all their films are incredibly different, but the MCU formula is really knowing how to walk that line, never letting it too heavy, never letting it too jovial. Because Thor Ragnarok comes up a lot, Robin. I know you and I have talked about this. Thor Ragnarok is definitely hilarious and funny.
Hilarious.
But other than Infinity War, I think it's actually the darkest of the Marvel movies. Because when you look at Odin dies, Asgard is destroyed, Thor loses an eye, his sister dies, Mjolnir gets destroyed. I mean, like, it is actually a very dark movie, but it's so balanced out with humor. Like, it felt like the darker it gets, the more the humor has to be there. I don't know. How do you see all that?
Well, I think you're right. And, you know, the world is both, we're constantly in the middle of tragedy and comedy.
Yes.
All the time. And, you know, when Thor is hanging in Surtur's lair at the beginning of Ragnarok,
so
and
great.
He's kind of circling around and having that conversation. I mean, it's an absurd situation, but it's just, he's hanging there, and it's funny, but it doesn't, I've always been I've never understood why people don't like that that's what makes those movies so entertaining, is they're both world spanning or galaxy spanning, and there's all this heavy stuff happening, but the humor is character based.
Yeah.
You know, it comes out of who those characters are. And I like that. I mean, that's why we like those movies, is because they put a smile on our face.
I agree. All right, what's next?
Johnny A says, so I almost got kicked out of my friend's New Year's Eve party because I kept referring to the new Batman as Twilight Boy, saying it exactly as you say it during a heated debate about the upcoming movie. It's got to be the most annoying phrase of 2020.
Oh yeah, that and bro. I mean, that's we're gonna run those ones out really, really, really fast. Like, and I'll probably keep saying it until after the movie comes out. All right, what's next?
Hi, this is from Tyler Rod. He says, hi, John. What do you think of a Back to the Future soft reboot with Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. with Zemeckis? They could build a time machine, travel back in time, and need Doc's help to get home. They go back to the present and reunite Doc and Marty at the end.
No, but, I mean, a long time ago, did you ever see that deepfake?
Yep.
Yeah, there's a deep fake. In case I'm assuming you've seen it, Tyler, but if you haven't, there's already a deep fake out on YouTube where they replaced the faces of Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd with Robert Downey Jr. and Tom Holland.
Yep.
As Marty and Doc. So that is out there. So would I be interested in that at all in real life? Absolutely not. But I mean, if you want to go get a little taste of that, it's out there on YouTube. You can go see it. I think it'll put a smile on your face. All right, what's next?
Boris brings us one of three. He says, hey, John and gang, I don't know if you guys like Family Guy or not.
I do.
I've always found it funny and finally decided to watch, and I'm hooked. Their ability to just drag simple animations out, repeating the same thing till I lose it, doesn't stop. Peter running for ages, then tripping and uncomfortably going, for like 30 seconds. Or three old men reading the newspaper trying to out ahem each other for so long that I'm crying laughing, and they're still going. I started in like season 10 because of the animation, but I'm going back for sure. I hope you all had a wonderful and safe New Year's. A salute to my first tip of 2022.
Thank you, Boris.
LOL. Oh, and on a side note, you reminded me about Bullet Train. Dropping names I didn't even know were there. Can't wait. Have a great day.
Bullet Train is going to be bonkers. I cannot wait for Bullet Train. And we talked about this one the other day.
We're getting it's Bullet Train, but there's another movie, The Ambulance,
Yep.
the Michael
yeah.
Bay movie. I want to go see those as a double feature.
They showed us about 10 minutes of the ambulance.
Adrenaline.
I'm not terribly excited about
oh,
it.
really?
Yeah. I mean,
I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal is a bank robber?
but I
Come on.
saw it with Erin Cummings, and she was very taken with it.
Oh.
So she thought it looked really good. I was not as taken with it, but we'll see how it goes. As far as Family Guy goes, though, to me, Family Guy is like South Park. It's a little hit and miss, but when it hits, like, I don't care. I can watch brand new Peter fighting the giant chicken fights every week for the rest of my life. They're always the same thing, but I can watch them over and over and over. It doesn't matter. One of the greatest, funniest scenes in television history, I think, is Stewie loan sharking Brian and wanting his money back. So, you got my money? Okay, but 3 o'clock tomorrow, right? And then he comes back, so you got my money? No. Oh, that's strange. I could have swore I said 3 o'clock today. And then he starts hitting with baseball bats. It's like, where's my money? Where's my money? And like shooting him in the legs and all. It's just,
my God.
this is ridiculous and it's hilarious. Like sometimes it misses, but when it hits, Family Guy is so freaking funny. All right, anyway, what's next?
Mike Rusetta says, "Happy 2022, John and crew."
Thank you, Mike.
I do not support piracy or spoilers leaking online. However, I love seeing opening night theater reactions to big movies on YouTube. It's like ecstasy siphoning off that crowd's energy. What are your thoughts on those videos?
I mean, I think they're great. I mean, that's why I started doing right out of the theater reactions and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, there's a lot of people doing right out of the theater reactions now. That once I started doing it, but yeah, I have a lot of fun with those. I think it's great, and I enjoy doing them. Like I really do like coming right out of the theater and letting people see this is how I am, like raw coming out. I haven't put any thought into it. This is my raw reaction to what I just saw. And then, go a little bit more in depth to it later. But I do like those videos too, Mike. All right, what's next?
Ride Army says, "Hey, John, watching you has inspired me to take a film history class.
Nice.
What do you think of the films they are covering? Nosferatu, Bram Stoker's Dracula, Battleship Potemkin, Potemkin, Dial M for Murder, Lahane, Boys in the Hood, Sunset Boulevard, and Alien. Thanks."
I mean, that's a nice thing. At first, though, I thought you were just saying Battleship. I'm like, really? They're covering Battleship?
Yeah, that's a great list. Nosferatu just celebrated its 100th anniversary.
Yep.
Wow.
And if
100
you want
years
to see something funny, Bram Stoker's Dracula is great. You want to see something funny? Keanu Reeves and his coming and going accent. And which way do we go, sir? I mean, it's
yeah.
But you got Gary Oldman in there.
Gary Oldman's great. Bram Stoker's Gary Oldman's great.
Winona Ryder. That's when they got married.
Sunset Boulevard 2 at a recent, I go to that John Williams concert every year. They did a full overture while playing selected scenes from Sunset Boulevard, and they did like the full musical score of it at the late. Oh, good.
It's one of my favorite movies.
Oh, so good. All right, what's next?
Eric from Chicago says, "Hi, John, longtime fan, first time tipper.
Thank you, Eric.
Just wanted to thank you for continuously recommending Kim's Convenience. I binged the entire show in about 2 weeks, and it's fantastic. From the opening scene of the gay discount, I was instantly hooked."
I am so with you. It was like
so
who
cute.
was it? Like living up here, a lot of TV. Like I was very late to the party on Schitt's Creek, and I was late to the party on Kim's Convenience, and I was late to the party of what's the one I got to do?
Letterkenny?
Letterkenny. I was late to the party on
You
Letterkenny.
made me watch all those.
I know.
I got to watch all of them.
So fun. But I had somebody say, I think it was my friend Corey, who said, you got to see Kim's Convenience. You got to see Kim's Convenience. So fine. I thought, well, I'll give it a shot. Low budget Canadian sitcom, whatever. The very opening scene of the first episode. Now, I don't think you've seen Kim's Convenience yet,
Yeah.
Rob. You did?
Yeah,
Okay.
Elizabeth and I watched it.
Very first scene. The gay discount scene. So basically, the setup is this. Mr. Kim runs his convenience store. I think it's right on Yonge Street. And they're getting ready to have a gay pride parade, right? And he's complaining because, like, this is bad for business just because, like, the street's taken up and customers can't come in and blah, blah. So he didn't want to let somebody put up the poster just because he was going to disrupt business. That's all he was worried about, right? And so somebody accused him of like, oh, you're homophobic. He goes, no, as a matter of fact, we have gay discount. And he goes, oh, and the way he says it, only for the gay. They said it's camp. And then some guy comes in and say, "Oh, great, do I discuss?" "No, you're not the gay." "Yes, I am." "No, I know. You're not the gay." And I'm just like, oh my God. And I'm like, is this what this whole show is? And it is. Mr. Kim, played by Paul Sung-young Lee, who, of course, was the X-Wing fighter pilot in Mandalorian. As Mr. Kim, he just became one of my favorite television characters of all time. And the whole and of course, this is where Simu Liu, Shang-Chi, came from. He plays Mr. Kim's son. Just one of the greatest characters in television history. If you guys have not seen Kim's Convenience, you absolutely must give it a shot. And it'll get you right from scene one.
Someone asked what streaming service it was on. It was Netflix, right?
I think yes, you can get it on Netflix. You can watch it on Netflix now. Because yeah, it is a Canadian show. But much like Schitt's Creek, which is also a Canadian show, it played on Netflix as well. And Schitt's Creek, by the way, I think is a top 3 greatest comedy show of all time. Top 3 of all time. That's how good Schitt's Creek is. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Red Arrow 1316 says, "Hey, Campea Clan. I was watching the Spider-Man spoiler discussion, and you mentioned that the movie was not a 10 out of 10, and that there were only a few of those movies, in your opinion. I wanted to know what your picks are in that regard."
I don't want to go into it, to be honest with you. There's a reason I stopped giving scores to my movies. You guys will notice when I do reviews, I do not give a score. Because a score is an arbitrary number that means something different to different people, right? So like we live in everything to everybody today is a perfect 10 or it's a 0. For me, for example, I think a 7 out of 10 is a solid score. That is me saying, I think it's a really solid movie. Quite enjoyed it. But what would inevitably happen? I would give a 7 out of 10 to something and be like, "Well, Campea hated it. You gave a 7 out of 10. Why did you hate it?" I was like, what are you talking about? Because we live in this idiotic society where everything's 10. If you like it even remotely, it's a 10. It's a 10 out of 10. And everybody today just hands out 10 out of 10s like it's candy on Halloween. I have only ever in my life, in all the years I was reviewing, I think there was only 5, 6, or 7 times when I was still giving scores that I ever gave a 10 out of 10. Because I believe a 10 out of 10 should be the rarest thing you ever gave out. I do not believe, I love Spider-Man No Way Home. It is not a 10 out of 10 movie.
No.
Not even close. But again, I just think people are way too easy with handing out 10 out of 10. So, but again, the same reason I don't want to go into it now, because people interpret it differently. I don't think there's a point to it. So.
Okay, but wait a minute.
Yes.
What's one example of what you think a 10 out of 10 would be?
One example, well, for example, I could say something like Godfather and Godfather 2 or 10
Yeah.
minutes, but those were not movies that came out when I was reviewing movies. So I'll give you an example. I think the first 10 out of 10 I ever gave a movie once I had started reviewing, I think the first one I ever gave out was Amelie. Amelie to me was a 10 out of 10
I would give
movie.
you that. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Gladiator?
I don't think I gave Gladiator a 10. I think I probably gave that one a 9. And then for a long time, my reviewing scale wasn't numerical. For a long time, we changed our reviewing scale to no, go, and Routh. And you look at me confused. So here's what a movie was: either a no, don't go see it, go see it, or it was a full Routh. And here's where that came from. Let me just ask, just say yes or no in the live chat, guys. Just say yes or no. Do you guys remember? Were you guys around long enough to remember no, go, and Ralph? Just say yes or no in the live chat. That'll give me a sense of, so Jack is saying yes, Jason's saying yes. Okay, so here's what no, go, and Ralph meant. There was a story that came out back before Superman Returns came out. And the story was so ridiculous, but it was true, that during viewing some dailies of Superman Returns, a couple of executives said that the bulge in Brandon Routh's Superman suit stood out a little bit too much. Is there any way we can digitally remove the bulge that he's bringing? To which one of my co-hosts at the time, his name is Darren Connolly, good buddy of mine. Darren Connolly said, "Well, I guess you could say that Brandon Routh has the full package." And we went, yes. And then we said, you know what? That should become a level of our movie reviews, that if a movie is the full package, that's a Routh. So it's either no, don't go see it, go see it, or this movie's the full package, it's the Routh.
Okay.
And so for like 4 years, our movie review scale was no, go, or Routh. So there you go. There's a little bit of history about no go or no. Just a little bit interesting thing. All right. What's next?
Jonathan says, okay, I hear you gushing about Ted Lasso. Here's the thing I have with TV shows. Not a fan of episodic shows like NCIS, House, etc. I prefer a season-long narrative like Arcane, Stranger Things, even Last Airbender, which was a bit of both. Is Ted Lasso that?
Ted Lasso is one ongoing story. I mean, it's brilliant that you can just drop in. See, here's the great thing. What's the difference between procedurals and a serial and a procedural? I can't remember which one is which.
A serialized story is one long story.
Okay, so procedural is where you can jump in on any episode, right? The brilliance about procedurals is that you don't have to get caught up. Like, you can literally drop in. Like, if you watched Friends, they had some ongoing storylines, but really, you could drop in on Friends, season 3, episode 4, and you'll totally know what's going on because every episode is one thing. Supernatural was kind of a blend of the two. It was very much Monster of the Week, but it also had, each season had its own ongoing storyline. Ted Lasso, I'd say, is more procedural, or not procedural. Ted Lasso is more one single story, is more serial on that, but I love a good procedural show. Like, whether it's a Law and Order, or whether it's, I used to love watching Law and Order when I was younger, whatever. Or Three's Company or Gilligan's Island. These are all procedural. So I like those too. What about you, Rob? Do you have a particular preference, or do you think it depends on the show?
It depends on the show. Like, I used to love, like, in the 80s, there was a show called Wise Guy about an undercover cop. And they would do 3 and 4 or even longer episode arcs. And I loved that. And that was really the first time that I had that feeling. And I've always loved great serialized stories. But then again, like the X-Files did both. You had a Monster of the Week, and then ongoing mythology arcs. And I don't have a preference. I like getting into the longer novelized stories, but single episodes, The Twilight Zone, Star Trek, those are all
A-Team, Knight Rider.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, we've got time for just a couple more. What's next?
Jonathan says, over under 55%, the Batman makes at most 90 plus million and at worst 55 to 65 million opening weekend. Also, I love how my comment about favorite movie versus best movie has a days-long discussion.
Well, it's kind of a repeat of a discussion we've been having for years, but I would say this. I will say under 55% of that because I believe the at most number is higher than that. I think the at most number hovers, not the 200 million mark, but I think the at most number probably hovers around 150. So I'm going to say it's much higher than that. What about you, Rob? Where do you
completely agree. I think it's much higher unless the movie isn't good.
Well, yeah, and that's what we got to find out.
Yeah, I think the movie does look incredible.
So good.
It looks so good. So I think that people, even that last trailer, The Cat and the Bat or whatever, that
so good.
Who doesn't want to see that movie now?
Oh, it's why it is my number one most anticipated movie of the year. All right, what's next?
Ryan Reddy Media says, John, been following your hard work since the movie blog's creation.
Oh, thank you, man.
Much respect for your perseverance, changes in the industry, and your life personally. What is it about film that means so much to you personally? What film or films are the driving force?
Well, I mean, look, what's the driving? I can't go into it a lot here, but just Cole's note here. Driving force, the original Star Wars. My earliest childhood memory is my mom showing me Star Wars. And it's kind of created a blueprint. I've been passionate about movies my whole life. There are two reasons why I love movies so much. It's what they are to me personally and what I think they represent to us as a culture. Personally, the art of storytelling in any form, whether it's movies, television, the stage, books, whatever, but the art of storytelling, which I believe in its highest form, is on the screen. It presents to me a vision of what the world can be, a vision of what the world is. It gives me a lens to look through to see the world through other people's eyes, because we only see the world through our own perspective. But it's like an amazing way to see the world from a different point of view, to imagine, to dream, to hope, to fear, all that kind of stuff. There have been so many times in my life when something difficult was going on, where a movie kind of just wrapped its arm around me and gave me a warm hug and gave me a little bit of a reprieve from the hard things going on in my life. The hard things were still there, But I came back out of that warm hug a little bit better prepared to face the world that I was in. Movies to me are that. They are the ultimate expression of imagination and dreaming and all of that kind of stuff. It's just that. So that's for me personally. You've heard me tell this thing 1,000 times, what it means to us as a culture. I told the story just the other day. Comic-Con one year, you were there this one year, and we were staying in this house, and we were having to take Uber back and forth to the convention center. I got in this Uber with this guy where he was not from America. English was not his first language. We had nothing in common at all. Somehow, some way, a conversation started up about Lord of the Rings. And me and this guy that I have never met, who comes from a totally different background than me, we have nothing in common. We talked for a good 10 minutes, laughing, going, oh, what about, oh, no. We start going on, and we're talking about Lord of the Rings. These stories connect us. Stories connect us because we all identify with the issues of faith and fear and love and passion and dreams and hope for our future and hope for the future of those who come after us and all that. These are all items and things that we share in common. And that's why I have a video out on YouTube called Why Movies Matter. It was when I did a keynote address in Atlanta one year. And the name of my address was Why Movies Matter. And you can go and find that there. But yeah, that's what it is to me. I don't just love movies. Like, movies to me are important. Mm-hmm. And I think people who don't think movies are actually that important don't actually understand what it means. You go back to the earliest days of our species. We're storytellers. That's what we are. And that's why I think they're so great. And that's why I think they're smart. Anyway, I could go on that for another hour or so, but we don't have time. All right. Time for one more question today. What's the last one today?
This comes from Chuck the Mystery. He says, John, I have a dilemma. In the year leading up to Matrix, you had no excitement for it. In my opinion, you were right not to. It was awful. I'm having the same problem with Uncharted. I want to be excited, but I can't get there. We have a great lead actor in Tom Holland, but we had a great actor in lead of Prince of Persia, a world-class actor leading Assassin's Creed, and look how those turned out. Do you think anything sets Uncharted apart from those video game films to get me excited?
Well,
Thanks.
okay. First of all, let's clarify something. You don't got to be excited for anything. I was just talking about how I was the opposite of excited for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It doesn't matter if you're excited for something or not. You can or cannot. You shouldn't feel the need to get excited for a movie. The thing is, once you go in to watch the movie, take your expectations and leave them at the door and then just watch the movie for what it is. And then I came out going, well, damn, Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse was awesome, right? So you don't need to get excited for it. Yeah, listen, I've said forever, putting a great actor in a mediocre movie is not going to make it a great movie. The dialogue is still the same. The story is still the same. The script's still the same. Everything else is still the same. You just got somebody, reciting the lines a bit better and a little bit more believable, which is good and important, but it doesn't change that. So listen, but you remember this, for every Prince of Persia you can point out, it's not just that's not limited to the video games. Rob, you remember Gangster Squad?
Oh.
This is one of the greatest casts ever. Ryan Gosling, Josh Brolin, Emma Stone. I mean, on and on. Sean Penn.
Yeah.
It was great cast, but that movie was a dud. It was a total dud. So it's not just kind of relegated only to comic or video game movies. Listen, you're seeing what you're seeing for Uncharted, and it's not exciting you. You don't need to be excited. You don't have to be excited. Don't worry about it. You shouldn't have to trick yourself into being excited either. Just say, okay, I'm not excited about it. And when it comes out, you'll judge it on its own merits. That's all you need to do. That's all you need. What would you say to that?
Well, I think it's, I wasn't, to be honest, specifically Uncharted, I wasn't too excited about it because Uncharted changed my way of how I looked at video games.
Right.
That first Uncharted meant something to me. So when I saw it looked fine, but I watched that clip. They dropped the extended clip this week of the airplane
we talked about
scene,
it yesterday. Yeah.
and it looks really well done. And I was like, the action in this, it's really effective. It's got James Bond, Mission Impossible kind of action, real peril. I thought some verisimilitude. It looked great. I'm like, what happens to him? He falls out of the plane, And so I got excited for it. But like you said, you don't have to be. But look, I think that we want to be because the lead up to something that we love.
Yeah.
That's what you want, that lead up. But sometimes don't allow yourself to get excited and just go. Just go see the movie
Yep.
and let it do to you what it's going to do to you. I think we watch too many trailers and we psych ourselves up about movies too much anyway. Why not? I wish I went into No Way Home and knew nothing about it. I really do. And just why not do a trailer where Peter Parker just comes out and goes, "Hi, I've got a new movie coming out. It's a Spider-Man movie, and you should see it." And then he swings away, and that's all we know.
Because it won't make $250 million opening weekend if it does that.
I don't know. I mean, I think once the but I'll tell you, I'm excited for Moonfall.
There you go. I mean,
Sorry. Yeah, Moonfall. Sorry.
Moonfall.
Gotta see it. I don't care what John says. Sometimes when you say you like something or hate
I
something,
haven't seen Moonfall yet. I'm not saying it's good or bad.
I know.
I just think I can get excited for what I know is not going to be a very good movie.
Yes.
But I might love it. I could love Moonfall. What does that say about me? I don't know.
All right, guys, listen. There are still more questions that are in there to come. Questions from people like Chuck the Mystery, Ukmos, JJ Judd, and others. Do not worry, guys. We're going to do a companion video. We'll get you guys caught up on all those things. But for now, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the comments and questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved here at the John Campea Show, thank you guys very much for your support. And I want to thank the people in the room. Kimberly Ann Curran. Kimberly, where can people follow you?
Hey guys, you can find me on Instagram at wasgoodkimberly right there below.
Beside her, Captain Moonfall, Ray Ora.
Captain Moonfall, Ray Ora with a 0.
And right beside him is Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, where can people follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram at RM Burnett. Follow me on Twitter at BurnettRM, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work.
And of course, you guys can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. By the way, I've got 99,000 followers on Twitter now. So it usually takes a bit to go up everything, whatever. So go on down there, follow me on Twitter, and get me to that 100,000 mark, will you? Because I think internet then sends me internet money. I don't know that for sure. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for us for today. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.